We are in the West San Fernando Valley tonight, Reseda, California, at Cleveland Stadium. El Camino Real visiting the Cleveland Cavaliers in the league opener. Hello, everybody. My name is Randy Rosenblum, set to call the play-by-play. Cleveland's had an outstanding season. They're 4-1, but their one loss was a week ago on the road at Carson. As for the traveling Royals, they travel every week because their field is not ready to go yet. They're still working on the field in Woodland Hills. All the games on the road. They lost their first three, but won their last two. So the Royals are coming in with a little bit of momentum as we start league play. Once again, we work with Paul Zabalik. Paul, it's always fun when you get to league play.
Well, again, in the San Fernando Valley, especially the West Valley League, Randy, you're going to have a high level of competition. You've got two teams here tonight that want to make a name immediately during the league play, and I think you're going to see a great contest tonight.
Javen Hall is the quarterback at El Camino Real. He was terrific in the win against Narbonne.
He was, and he took control of the game. He was able to demonstrate his ability to run the ball. He was having a great night with receivers, and again, he was a great leader on the field. He took charge.
He really did. He had a huge run late in the game against the Gauchos that really turned the tide for El Camino Real. On the ground, you say, you got to think about Donovan Powell, the outstanding junior running back. Where's number one for Cleveland?
You know, again, he is an explosive player. He's got over 700 yards in rushing through midway of the season. He can explode at any time on the field, and he can run the distance.
Corey Hall is a great player for Cleveland. He's not playing tonight. Normally wears number 11. He's out. Gotten a little bit of a scuffle last week in their loss at Carson, so he's ineligible, missing this one game.
Yeah, and that changes the entire complexion of the game because you start to plan and you game plan for him specifically. Now that he's out, they have to change the entire game plan and focus on Powell because Powell will be the factor.
How good is Corey Hall? He had their two touchdowns against Carson, one of them a catch for 98 yards. It's the Royals and the Cavaliers, the West Valley League opener. Back for the kickoff on LA36 in just a moment. Well, Cleveland won the toss and has deferred. So it will be the offense of El Camino Real for the Royals that'll be out there first. Looks like Jason Zabalik is bored. He was yawning on the far sideline. He's not feeling the pressure of the league opener at all.
Just preliminaries, Randy, preliminaries.
And it'll be Cleveland to kick off. Again, this Cavalier football team is very solid, 4-1. They were disappointed with their performance last week at Carson. Andy Gary will be kicking off for the Cavs. Devin Howard is always a man to watch in the return game for ECR. He wears number 1. See if Gary kicks it to him. And here we go as he advances on the football. And the West Valley League season is underway. That one rolls out of bounds. So it'll be advantageous field position for the Royals.
Well, again, that's one thing you never want to do is kick the ball out of bounds. You give the other team a great field position to start out. You'd like to pin them back behind the 20.
So it'll be brought out to the 35 for the quarterback, number 2, Javen Hall. Colin Armida, number 3, scored an early touchdown a year ago in ECR's victory over Cleveland, 24-12 in Woodland Hills. Armida will be a featured ball handler and ball carrier for the Royals. Our lead official is Curtis L. Winston. They've moved it with the penalty yardage to the 40. Hall is the QB. And Hall rolling out, goes underneath to Shirley. And he's wrestled out of bounds by Guzman.
It's good to see Shirley back on the field. He took a real strong hit in the Narbonne game and hit the track pretty hard, but definitely here tonight.
Immediately we have a Royal player down and injured. So there's a timeout for the moment. will attend to the royal performer who is being attended to. Yeah, let's go back and look at some of those highlights from a year ago. We told you that Ermita got a touchdown early in that game. It was a 24-12 victory for El Camino Real. And again, this game was at El Camino. There's Feinberg, and he throws it to Ermita to get the scoring going. Now, Ermita weighs number 3 now. He wore number 14 last year.
Yeah, well, again, Ermita is the guy that you want to make sure is in the game. He's a guy, a playmaker. He is hard to tackle. He's hard to pull down, and he makes things happen as well.
And Feinberg, who had a great year throwing touchdowns, set a record at El Camino. You know, we seem to have problems with the snap. Here's a long bomb for Cleveland to Stephon Roberts, who has since graduated. He had a big game and helped Cleveland come back. You could see he can go and get it, and he was terrific on that night. And again, right up the middle. Now, this is Spillman, who's a player that's graduated.
Right.
And number 3 this year is Colin Ermita. So those are some of the highlights as we wait on the young man who's now getting to his feet and being helped off the field. It's Rafael Cortez. He's walking off the field under his own power. He's arguably the best receiver on the football team.
Yeah, Cortez is another factor. He's a sophomore and has showed a lot of skills and is able to apply them. We'll wait and see what happens.
He is limping, favoring his right leg, but he did walk off under his own power. Second down. Hall, and he has room to run. Javen Hall, that's a dimension that you have to love at El Camino. He can just tuck and go.
He's the 12th man on the field as well. As a quarterback, he's able to throw the ball and he sets it up, but when he runs, it gives him a whole new dimension.
Takes it all the way down to the 45 of Cleveland.
Yep. Again, look at him just take off. He's got the ability to turn it on and turn the corner.
Javen Hall is a junior.
And they've got to account for him to run the ball.
First and 10 Royals. Coming off a brilliant performance at Narbonne. They had the bye last week, but the previous week they were great at Harbor City. Hall feeling heat. Incomplete. Fired the football down the field for Serrano and missed him.
Yeah, he was trying to turn the corner. He was looking for the receiver, and he was covered pretty well.
Number 9 there is a very talented player, Andrew Shackelford. He can catch the ball on offense, and he's outstanding in the secondary for Peter Gunning.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got the size at 6'2", and he can definitely cover in the flat.
Up front, Justice Love, 99, is a man to watch out for. 6'4", 270-pound senior. Just a hard worker, and he's the guy that'll be after Javen Hall all night. Second and 10. Hall to the air. That's no good. Too high for Howard.
I'm surprised to see them throw the ball so early. I would think they would try to set up a run game because of how Carson ran against Cleveland last week. I would think Elko would try to replicate that because they do have the running back and they do have the line to be able to block it.
Another solid player is Dylan Frank up front, 54, one of the captains of the Cavaliers. So it's 3rd and 10 for Elko. Just the start of the ball game. First minute of action in Reseda. Hall pressured again. Could not escape.
The coverage was really strong by Cleveland, and the line broke down and just couldn't protect him.
David Mondragon got to him and brought him down. Number 51, one of the excellent players on that defensive front.
Exactly. They've got some real size and speed on that defensive line, along with Love.
So after the Fine run by Hall to get the initial first down. The Royals are punting. Flags are out. First 5 yards that goes against ECR for the false start.
It's amazing when you have that punt team, they're supposed to watch the ball and not move until the ball snapped.
Asa Johnson, who punts for El Camino Real, averages 44 yards a kick, and they snap it over his head. And Cleveland's going to have excellent field position.
This has been a problem for El Camino since last year, and not having a long snapper and being able to execute. And a punt snap is essential. They've got to be able to make that play.
Why is that such an issue at El Camino Real?
You know, that's the $60 question. The coaching staff has to be able to find somebody to be able to do that. Above all else, it demonstrates how important that long snap truly is.
Emiliano Lopez, number 5, veteran quarterback. He started against ECR a year ago in Woodland Hills. Lopez calling for the ball. That's Powell in motion. Run up the middle. And the other Powell drives it forward for big yardage. Donovan Powell.
Again, he is a factor. We talked about him in pregame, and he can explode, and he just demonstrated that.
Give credit to the offensive line. They opened up a nice hole for him.
They did, and you're looking at size against size. Cleveland's offensive line averages about 250 pounds.
44 on the defense. Aiden Medford had a solid game. The linebacker in Harbor City was in on a lot of tackles for El Camino Real. This time, Powell has nowhere to go. Busting through immediately was Jaden Williams. That's his 7th tackle for loss this year.
Yeah, again, Williams is one of those stalwart defensive linemen for El Camino. They're putting 7 people up in the line, and they really went after him. They're going to stuff the gaps and not let Powell loose to the middle.
Donovan was our guest last night on our SoCal Prep Report show with his head coach Peter Gunny. They talked about this game. Nice young man. Again, he's a junior running back who's very, very talented. Had a huge game, over 200 yards against Grant. And on the season, over 700 yards from scrimmage. Lopez to the near side, completes this one to Steve Ha.
Stephen Ha was identified by Coach Gunny as one of the receivers that can catch that hitch pass and run in the open field.
Not quite enough for the first down, but it's 3rd and very manageable. 3rd and about 4.5. Fouls with a nice tackle in the secondary for El Camino Real. But a real opportunity for Lopez and Cleveland as they approach the red zone. Lopez pass is batted down. Williams was in there. He was not alone. Caden McCoy was also in there, number 14. McCoy's the guy that had the long interception at Narbonne for 77 yards and a touchdown.
Exactly right. But Jaden Williams was indeed the player that tapped the ball. He's able to bring it down.
Yeah, he was unblockable in the game against Narbonne, and early on, the Cavaliers are not having much success against number 52, Jaden Williams, who's 250 pounds and a junior. 4th down play, 4th and 4. Middle screen, set up nicely. Inside the 5-yard line goes Aiden Cerrito.
Well, they brought the house on El Camino's defense. They brought 8 people, and the screen set up beautifully. It was just there, and the defensive lineman ran right past the blockers.
Cleveland has wins over Kennedy, Grant, Canoga Park, and Palisades. Then they lost a week ago at Carson. ECR lost at Palisades, then at Newberry Park and Calabasas, and wins at San Fernando and Narbonne. First and goal. Powell. Flags are out, and he goes nowhere.
Number 99, 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Replay, first down.
That's Justice Love detected for the penalty.
Yeah, you would think that he wouldn't be able to hold. He's got the size and quickness to be able to make the blocks, but there he is grabbing. You can just see it there. He was tackling the defensive end.
So Daniel Guzman, a 5'6" running back, he too a junior, has some power and has also got speed. And on defense, he's been a tackling machine, number 3 in the ball game for Cleveland. Lopez setting up another screen, this time to Powell, gets away from Williams. And getting him from behind was Medford. Aiden Medford is a very good-looking linebacker who's starting to really come on for El Camino.
Well, again, that shows the versatility of Powell. He was able to dodge that tackle and reach underneath it and make some yards out of a broken play.
Second down and goal. The clock is running. 6:40 to play. Opening quarter. El Camino reached the Cleveland 45. Their drive stalled, and then they had a high snap, which gave Cleveland excellent field position, and they're trying to capitalize. Timeout taken by the Cavaliers.
Yeah, Coach Gunny didn't like what he saw on the defense, and it looked like they were setting up for a hitch pass out here, and that they were looking at Shackelford, which is one of his favorite patterns.
I love that screen call on fourth down. Really caught El Camino off guard.
Well, that's one thing about Coach Gunny, I can tell you from experience. He'll pull out these plays, and he'll just execute them very well. And their surprise plays are almost considered trick plays at times, but they're really not. They're planned, they're executed well, and he's a coach that likes to use those kinds of deceptive plays, and the defense doesn't pick up on it.
We're going to meet Peter Gunny at halftime. He has a wonderful conversation with Jason Zabalik. That's 9 or 10 minutes of really good entertainment at the break.
Well, they're old colleagues and they're old adversaries at the same time.
Yeah, we're going to learn a lot about both men, so stay tuned for that at halftime. Jason Zabalik and Peter Gunny chatting it up, talking high school football, the respective football coaches. Second down and goal. Lopez.
Again, he's looking for Shackelford.
He's going to run. And Williams coming across the field. Making a terrific hit along with Vladimir Debreshian.
It's good to see Darbeshian back. He was hurt in the Narbonne game and had the 2 weeks to recover.
Let's go, Cleveland. Let's go. Let's go, Cleveland. Let's go. Let's go, Cleveland. Let's go.
Terrific hustle. Coming across the field there by the El Camino defense. Third down. They need about 7 for the touchdown. 5:40 left opening quarter. No score, Cleveland and ECR. Lopez calling for the ball. Lobbing to the end zone. Shackelford's got it. Touchdown, Cleveland.
That was the play they were looking for the last series, and Shackelford was covered, but this time they just throw it up. His height at 6'2" is going to beat any cornerback no matter what.
Be on the basketball team, and he's got that size, so he's a two-sport athlete here at Cleveland, and that body, that basketball body, really helped him there to get the football. Good throw by Lopez.
Just a short fade, and it was right there.
Gary for the extra point. 6-0 Cleveland. Midway stage, opening quarter. High snap. What's Gary going to do with it? Came right to him. And he's going to get hammered. So it'll remain 6-0.
Again, it seems as if Cleveland has the same long snap problem and not being able to make that extra point.
Well, again, these two schools and coaches are mirror images of one another, right?
They got to find long snappers.
Good look at that touchdown and a beautiful catch by Shackelford.
Yeah, again, Shackelford was wide open. Like I said, the previous play, they were looking for the same thing on the fade, but he didn't get open.
Glad you're with us on LA36. We think this is a really good football game. It is on paper. You never really know. An excellent start for the host Cavaliers.
And you saw Donovan Powell. He was able to again, make the difference in that series. He was able to break away for some big gains, and they were able to convert the touchdown.
Yeah, Peter Gunny had a lot of great things to say about Shackelford. He really likes him. He is a senior. Says he has deceptive speed. And he likes his size as a wide receiver. And we saw both of that in play.
Yeah, again, all they do is toss the ball up, and because he is a basketball player, it's like a jump ball.
Once again, the Cavaliers to kick off. This one is returnable. Gansing is fouls, but he can't go very far.
No, they had good coverage on that, although it wasn't a very deep kick. They still have very good field position. I would anticipate that Elko would now start the ground game. Their game plan is to replicate what Carson did last week against Cleveland. They should start running the ball and start getting some yardage and penetrate the defensive line.
Well, Fowles is the leading ball carrier this year for El Camino. Over 200 yards, 7 yards per carry. Ermita right behind him, 5 yards a carry. Both men have scored 2 touchdowns this year on the ground. Delay to Howard. Has running room right up the middle. Breaks a tackle. Devin Howard breaks a big one for the Royals.
There's your explosive speed on Elko with Howard, number 1, and you give him an inch and he'll take a mile from you. He's able to break away, and you just saw that. Again, right between the tackles, that's where they're vulnerable at Cleveland.
Just the 10th carry of the year for Howard, but he's rushed for 3 touchdowns in those carries. And you can see why with that breakaway speed. Howard again. Dylan Frank, 54. Having a nice first quarter on defense and offense for the Cavaliers.
Again, Howard ran right into him. He tried to evade him, but he just couldn't make the cut.
Pickup of 3, second down and 7 for ECR. Down by 6. Second down. Let's see if the Royals can convert. Devin Howard remains in the backfield.
Now again, they're putting 7 people up in the box.
You have a dead ball, encroachment defense, line up in the neutral zone.
A free 5 for the Royals.
Cleveland is trying to adjust now by putting 7 people up in the defensive line. They're moving their linebackers up. And if they continue to do that, you're going to see Coach Hayashida, the offensive coordinator, start throwing underneath patterns. But I think they're going to stay on the ground.
And it's 6-0 Cleveland on a touchdown, a short throw to Andrew Shackelford. But an opportunity here for the Royals to come right back down the field with a touchdown and a PAT, looking for the lead for Elko. Howard running near side. He's tough to bring down, isn't he? Breaking tackles. A terrific run by Devin Howard.
Dylan Frank was able to catch him from behind, which is a surprise.
At this point in the game, it's not Ermida. It's not fouls. The featured running back is Devin Howard.
Yep. Again, he's the breakaway threat, and you just give him that little gap, and he'll open it up. And he has the power to break tackles.
Ball resting near the 16-yard line of Cleveland. First down, Elko.
They're moving the ball on the ground, as we thought.
Hall retreating. Smartly just throws it away. Wanted Serrano.
That's a surprise where they put the ball up. They're moving on the ground, and then they change their scheme.
Looking for balance.
Well, the old expression by Coach Lou Holtz at Notre Dame years ago was that you keep doing what you're doing until they stop you, and then you go to something else. And they haven't been able to stop the run.
Jalen Sanders, number 11, wide receiver, 6'1" sophomore, is checked in. He's got home run speed for El Camino Real. They're already in field goal range. They have a great kicker in Asa Johnson, but they don't want to settle for 3.
Now they're in 4-down territory. They're going to try to punch it in here.
Hall, near side, into and out of the hands of Devin Howard. 3rd and long.
And now they're almost forced to pass again.
Screen, draw, either one in there for your liking?
Well, they've got the wide receivers are being covered and basically in a press coverage, but they can throw the fade, and you'd be able to see that Shirley might get open and throw the fade into the end zone.
Jake Shirley is number 5. Had a productive game at Narbonne. Did get shaken up during the bye week, healed up, and 5 is in the lineup, as you can see. And he was one of Hall's favorite targets in Harbor City. 3rd and 10. Hall running a stretch play far side. That's great running by Hall. Touchdown, El Camino Real. Javon Hall. We had to wait for the signal, and Hall pulled it off. He got down the field and scored.
The 12th man with his feet, again, making the difference. If he can't throw it, he can certainly take off and run. And he's turned the corner and jumped right into the end zone. I mean, he was able to get to the post.
So with 2:38 left, opening quarter, we're even at 6 apiece. And Asa Johnson, who's 10 of 11 on PATs, comes on. Got a strong leg, doesn't he? Royals by 1. It's 7-6.
He has demonstrated Division I leg, and he's a way to make the difference. If a game is close, it's the kicker that'll make the difference.
This is a great run because he gave so much ground.
And again, there's no pursuit outside. There'll no contain, and you've got to contain Hall. You can't just let him get outside and turn it loose. He did the same thing against Narbonne 2 weeks ago. It was almost an identical run.
You thought going, and these teams are so close, Asa Johnson, the kicker, could be the difference. And in the first quarter, his 1 point is the difference in the game.
Well, let's see how that continues.
Royals by 7-6, each team with a touchdown. Cleveland failed on its PAT, and obviously Johnson drilled his. With Paul Zabalik, I'm Randy Rosenblum. We're at Cleveland Stadium in Reseda in the West San Fernando Valley for the West Valley League opener. As Asa Johnson is about ready for toe to hit leather.
And he should put it into the end zone so there's no return.
Of course, in the high school game, if you put it in the end zone, it's blown dead. This one bounces out inside the 5. It was deflected out. And because of it, the fact that it went off of Stephen Haw, it's going to be a very long field for the Cavaliers.
Well, again, it was an intentional kick. He didn't want to put it in the end zone. They want to give that receiver a chance to possibly fumble the football, which it looked like it did. He touched the ball. It's a live ball once that happens.
Both these coaches, and you'll hear them at halftime, expected some points here this evening.
Yeah, they were looking at around 30 points each.
Oh, we still have 2.5 minutes left in the first quarter. 7-6 Royals. Lopez goes back to work. Emiliano Lopez, 6 foot, 200-pound senior QB. And they'll pound the rock. Don't want a chance, a throw at that end of the stadium where they're backed up. Short gain for Donovan Powell.
Elko is loading the box again. They're trying to make sure that Powell doesn't break out. But you can't give up that second level. And linebackers penetrate too tightly that if he breaks through the first line of defense, he can break away.
Of course, Cleveland's playing without Corey Hall, who's suspended for 1 game. Had a little bit of a skirmish a week ago at Narbonne, so he has to sit, and that really hurts this offense. Powell again. And he's bottled up. The middle of the defensive front. Vladimir Derbeshian again, 50.
You can tell when Elko's at full strength, when Derbeshian is playing his best. He is the leader of that defensive line.
Well, here's a 3rd and a long 7. If El Camino can stop them here, they'll get great field position. Jason Zabalik has to be satisfied. His team gave up an early score. Now they've bounced back. 3rd down. And, of course, football is a game of 3rd downs. Lopez batted down again by that front. That's the 2nd batted ball in the first quarter.
And it looked like Williams again. Was it Williams? It was Medford.
Aiden Mefford was the young man that broke through.
Got really good height.
How about the field position that'll be presenting itself for ECR?
ECR's defensive front has to watch the ball. They can't move.
Punt is away, but it's short. Straight out of bounds, and El Camino Real will be close to the red zone starting this offense. Let's see where they spot it. It's inside the 30 for sure.
Huge series by the defense of Elko. Again, they tried to get Powell to, and they stopped Powell in his tracks. He couldn't gain anything, and when they did try to throw the ball, it was knocked down.
You're going to place the ball at the 26-yard line. How's that for starting field position?
A momentum shift if they capitalize on it.
57 seconds left in the opening quarter. Javen Hall has a nice touchdown dash here for Elko, number 2. Young man we featured on the pregame show. Jaden Salas over the ball, the very fine center of El Camino Real. They'll run it. Howard And a good burst by Devin Howard.
Again, Howard got a gap, and he just took advantage of it.
Gain of 8.
He was just following Alvarado right up the middle.
Inside of a half minute to play opening quarter. Howard's been tremendous early on, along with Hall, for the offense of El Camino Real. Delay, it's Howard again. Another big chunk and a first down.
Howard up the center, again, brought down by Contreras.
He can beat up chunks of yardage, and he gets 5, 6, 7 yards a carry.
Sebastian Contreras makes the stop. That'll wind the clock out for the remainder of the quarter. We are done. They'll change sides. 7-6, and it's first and goal for the Royals with a ball and an opportunity to expand their scant 1-point advantage.
They've got to take advantage of this turnover that they got and field position and score.
Well, each side with a touchdown, Paul. And we'll take a look at some of these moments from the first quarter. First touchdown, Lopez to Shackelford. But there's one of the ones that was knocked down.
Right, and again, we're looking at Williams, who was able to get in there. Here's the Shackelford catch.
Devin Howard was excellent.
Moved him down the field, and you could see him break tackles. He's not stopping with just an arm tackle.
And again, you see how Hall was stretched out, and he was still able to get to the perimeter.
Exactly, just like the Narbonne game where he ran that 40-yard that keeper, and he did the same thing there.
Second ball that was batted down by the Elko defense in that opening quarter.
It is a battle. We thought it was going to be a close game, and it's showing up to be that, Randy.
Well, you'll get that in league games. They all know each other, you know. Between Gunny and Zabalik, there's not very many secrets, are there?
No, they've known each other for a long time, and they can anticipate what the one's thinking, act on it.
We'll see if Elko can finish off the drive. Howard again. He's slippery, but he doesn't go too far as he was greeted by Guzman.
Just keep it on the ground and grind it out. They can score here. As they get closer to the goal line, you may see Elko run pitch power and pull everybody through the hole.
You load up to one side and you just pitch it back and follow the blocks.
Follow the blockers, exactly right. It's literally almost like a train. And they're not going to run through Love. They're going to run the other side, is my guess.
That's a whole lot of love. 270-pound young man. Howard trying to slip through, but a good job by the Cleveland front to deny him. Third and goal.
He got up to that 1 yard line, it looked like.
Garcia sifting through to make the stop. Ball's inside the 2 between the 1 and 2 yard line. First minute of the second quarter.
They can get a first down here. They're probably going to do all 4 downs in the red zone.
And of course, Hall capable of running it himself.
There's your pitch power right there.
There it is with Howard.
Touchdown.
He's in. Touchdown, Howard. Devin Howard scores for El Camino Real.
Again, you saw them line up, and as soon as the quarterback went under center, and it was pitch power coming right at you. Elko executes that very, very well.
13-6 Royals with the point pending. It's fitting that Devin Howard would get a touchdown. He's been running well.
He's been the difference for El Camino this first half.
Asa Johnson, again, great on these PATs, 11 of 12. And 2 of 4 in the field goal department as well. And he's got another one. He's almost automatic.
Well, it's never automatic, but he's pretty close to it. He is also capable of, well, there's Howard going in on the power. Almost untouched. Johnson can hit a field goal from 50 yards, which is, for high school, it is incredible that a kicker can make that distance, and with accuracy.
So the first 6 went to Cleveland, the next 14 to El Camino Real, and Jason Zabalik, after bye, his team looks sharp.
That week off was important for them to get well, to heal up. They had some injuries at Narbonne, and their team is at full strength again, and they could be a factor.
How much of a factor is the fact that they knocked off Narbonne? Mentally, that's got to be an uplifting experience.
Well, anytime you beat a Marine League team like that, it's critical, and you might see the difference between Cleveland not being able to beat Carson. Again, that's a factor. Carson being a Marine League team, and they can be intimidating.
On the flip side, Cleveland beat Palisades, and Palisades beat El Camino Real.
Now there's the end zone kick, it looks like.
It is returnable. Excellent coverage by El Camino Real. Didn't quite get to the end zone. And ECR got down there and did a beautiful job of riding Aguilar to the ground.
Well, Johnson has good hang time, if you like to call it that. It gives your lineman a chance to run down underneath the ball and make the play. It stays up quite a bit.
And with the ball at the 22-yard line, again for the Cavs, a long field.
It is.
Now the big question is, how does anyone block 52 in white there? 52 has been splendid tonight and was a monster against Narbonne.
Both he and Darbeshian are the two strongest defensive linemen, and they're both players.
Play's over.
Flag is out.
Fortunate defense. 5 yards. Replay. First down.
Royals jumped.
These are mistakes that shouldn't be made in Game 5, Game 6 of the season.
We'll be at Chatsworth next week. Royals invade Chatsworth and a date with the Chancellors, who beat El Camino in a very high-scoring game a year ago. That's on tap on LA36 next week. Long way to go in this one. Up the middle. And again, that defensive front with Derbeshian 50 in the middle holds up. Powell had no running room.
Derbeshian took on 2 blockers and was able to split the double team and still make the play.
Picked up maybe a yard. 2nd down and 4. Lopez has really improved this year. He's a field manager mostly last year, but this season he's got his stats up to 53%, over 1,000 yards in the air. And he's completed this one, but again, the secondary coverage is airtight. Getting over there and doing a beautiful job with Sam Tovin, and unfortunately the young man who made the grab is shaken up for Cleveland.
It just took too long to develop, and again, the coverage broke down, and Tovin was able to make the play. It's a long way to throw the ball, and here comes Tovin. And
that's the other Howard.
Yeah, he makes at least 5 or 6 tackles per game.
Yeah, that's a hard hit by Donovan Howard, Devin's brother. So the players will kneel down and wait for the injured player for Cleveland to get up before we resume. It will be third down and about 3. Remember, it was a 1st and 5 after the offside, and 2 downs later, they're still looking at third down and 3.
Right. Well, you've got Lopez as a baseball player, so he's used to making those throws, but this one took a little too long to develop.
Trying to catch a number on the far side, but there's a lot of people administering assistance to the receiver who's down, so it's impossible to pick up his number. And so we have a timeout for the moment. He is sitting up and looks okay.
Looks like he just got the wind knocked out of him. That was a
It
pretty hard
looks
tackle.
like Omar Alatori, the wide receiver, number 7. And again, he is sitting up. It appears to be okay. Now he is up and running. I think you're right. I think he just had the wind knocked out of him.
Yeah, and those kind of tackles are going to now, what you can all hear in footsteps. Alatori next time may not want to make that catch.
Yeah, but if you're a young man and you see the ball coming, he may not want to be a Monday morning quarterback, but in the real time, and that ball's coming at you, you want to make the
You
grab.
want to make the play, exactly.
They've backed them up to 3rd and 5. They moved that down marker 2 yards back, so that was a loss of yardage. 3rd and 5. This would be disheartening in some respects if Cleveland can't convert after having 1st and 5. See what Lopez calls, the veteran signal caller. That was not one of his better throws of the season. Looking to the near side and overshot Marcelo Aguilar. And it's 4th down. And the punting unit comes on.
That was a great stop by the Elko defense with Darbeshian leading the way.
Well, right now, Williams and Derbeshian are causing havoc for the offensive line of Cleveland.
They're just unblocked. They're Cleveland offensive linemen, for the size they have, should be able to block them, but they're not being able to because they've got quick feet and they're getting away from the block.
Once again, El Camino Real should get excellent field position. Tovin waiting. Out of bounds, and it'll be a fairly short field for El Camino Real again. Especially when you have a kicker like Asa Johnson. They move at 25, 30 yards here. They're already in field goal range.
Again, he can hit from 50 yards.
But the way the offense is going, they've scored 2 touchdowns. They're not thinking about threes, are they?
And the longer the Cleveland defense stays on the field, the more tired they're going to be. They don't have a deep player pool to draw from, and it could show in the 4th quarter where they're just too tired. They won't be able to keep.
You're right. Cleveland has a lot of bodies in the program. They have a nice JV program, so the numbers are not bad. But on varsity, they just have above 32, 33 guys that are suited up tonight.
Right, and that could be a major difference in the 4th quarter if that defense stays on the field as long as they've been, and Elko continues to drive.
So the ball just outside the 40-yard line for the Royals.
They should keep it on the ground, keep moving the ball down the field, run the clock.
Another high snap. Howard bouncing to the outside. Boy, there wasn't much there, and Devin Howard made it a positive play.
He made that all by himself. I mean, completely a one-man show that time. He is not to be denied. He'll drive for every inch of territory he can get.
Picked up 4.5 yards after a poor snap, and he had to give ground. That's just terrific running.
And again, they didn't pull him down. He stayed on his feet.
Cleveland timeout. Keep in mind, ECR early on lost their splendid wide receiver, Rafa Cortez, who was shaken up. Great sophomore catcher who has wonderful hands on the flanks. So they're not quite at 100% in the aerial game, El Camino Real.
Well, that's why they need to keep it on the ground and move the ball down the field and just keep possession and run the clock and control the ball by just using the runners and the feet that they have. I mean, that's what Hall can do, and that's what Howard can do. 1-2, and then, of course, every once in a while, put the ball up to keep the defense honest. But they're dominating the line of scrimmage, and they're controlling everything they're doing with the run.
Yeah, there's so many positives when you can run the football. You rest your defense. You impose your will because you're moving them and physically pushing them out of there.
Exactly. And
you run the clock.
And it's intimidating when you can't stop a runner no matter what he's doing, and he's breaking tackles all by himself. That in itself is disheartening for a defense.
By the way, the hospitality in Cleveland has been terrific. They welcomed us with open arms. Got to thank their principal, Cindy Duong. She had goodies waiting for us. Candy, drinks. When I say drinks, water, and soda.
Water.
Yeah.
Yes, Randy, water.
But, I mean, thank you, Cindy. Thank you, everybody here at Cleveland High School. Really great hospitality. And they were thrilled to have LA36 come in and broadcast the ball again. Second down and a long 5. Howard again. It'll bring up third and about 3.5. Contreras again with another stop for the Cavaliers. Ball's at the 47-yard line. Clock is running, approaching 8 minutes to play in the half. 14-6, as you can see, ECR. Last year's Division II LA City Section champions. They run it up the middle. It's fouls with first down yardage. The draw successful for the Royals.
You saw a lot of motion in the backfield, and the key for the linebackers, they were not able to adjust it.
Holding is going to bring it back, though. That is a crucial penalty, and it comes at the perfect time for Cleveland.
It's number 51, 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Replay, third down.
Ranja Berry is the one that got hit with the penalty.
The drive killer is holding.
Yeah, especially after a third down conversion like that. When you're looking at big plays in the first half, in my mind, that might be the biggest play.
Well, it depends on how they handle this third down play now. They've got 11 yards to go.
Yeah, but it switches the whole field. It could switch the momentum in the entire game. Now it's unlikely they run the football. And again, their passing game a little bit handicapped with the loss of their brilliant wideout, Rafa Cortez. Third down and 11. Jalen Sanders, flanked to the left side, is a speed demon. They throw it to Sanders in space. Breaking tackles, but he's not going to get away from all of them, but you'll love the effort. Finally thrown out of bounds by Guzman. Well, number 11 showed great desire.
That was arm tackle, what not to do when making a tackle. You're reaching out and grabbing, and you'll see here that they missed about 4 tackles by just grabbing 1. Arm tackles, 2, 3.
Yeah, Aguilar had him dead to rights, number 8 initially.
But again, you just don't grab with arms. You've got to tackle with the body.
And it's Aguilar that's drifting back to return the punt for Cleveland. So that holding foul, write that one down. I think that was critical. Johnson with a very favorable roll. And again, Cleveland a long field. Been difficult this half for Cleveland, other than that one drive when they moved the ball beautifully with the running back Donovan Powell. They have not had a lot of success offensively.
But El Camino did their own drive killing with that penalty. It destroyed the momentum, like you said.
6:17 to play in the half. Royals by 8 at 14-6. Lopez calling for the ball. And again, winning the battle at the line of scrimmage is El Camino Real. Number 1, Donovan Powell just does not have a lot of operating room. Drifting in to make the stop was Caden McCoy again, that young man who had that big interception at Narbonne.
And Darbeshian was there with him.
Powell's their home run hitter. There's no question about it. He's a terrific running back. Very dangerous. Came in with 712 yards, 9 yards a carry, and 7 touchdowns. Had a 99-yard touchdown this year.
Well, El Camino's loading the box. They're being able to put people up front, so they're going to stop that run. They're going to do everything they can.
A delay to Powell.
And
that's great form tackling by Jaden Williams.
Guess who? Jaden Williams. If it's not Darbeshian, it's Williams.
The way he's playing, he's going to be all city.
He's looking like it.
You know what the best news is for El Camino Real? He's a junior.
They can't block him.
Yeah, Nicholas Ross tried to block him, couldn't do it.
No, he is a factor.
You think?
On that defensive line. He and Darbeshian, if they're out, El Camino will struggle defensively.
Third down, between 9 and 10 yards needed for the Cavaliers. Lopez protected well. Incomplete. Excellent coverage in the secondary from Howard. That's Donovan Howard. So the two Howard brothers are playing big for El Camino in the first half.
It's almost like a competition between the two of them. They want to do better than the other. That was good coverage.
El Camino looking for its third consecutive win after starting 0-3. But this is the first game of the West Valley, and this is what it's all about. When you look ahead to potential playoff berths and what division you might play in, you want to do well in your league.
And this is a real factor for El Camino coming off their championship season.
Punting time for Cleveland. 4.5 minutes left in the half. A good bounce for the Cavs. El Camino will start from its 41.
They just can't make mistakes. They can drive down the field. They've demonstrated that ability to do that, but they cannot make mistakes and kill the drives.
Number 2, Steve Haw, very good player both ways for Cleveland, wide receiver and strong safety. Excellent cover cornerback if they move him over to play corner. He's got speed, and on offense he's a terrific route runner. So he does a lot of good things for the Cavaliers.
Yeah, Coach Gunny spoke very, very high of him pregame.
From the 41, that's where we'll scrimmage from with quarterback Javen Hall. He'll stay on the ground. Looking to impose their will with the ground game. Music's loud here, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Really
I like
loud.
it, though. Hey, got that environment. They got the cheerleaders going. They're having fun at Cleveland High in Reseda. See, we go under 4 minutes to play in the half. Number 3, Armida, is in as a running back. With Howard. Now Howard is the one who's next to Hall. This is Armida.
The pistol look.
Yep, and Armida bangs it for a couple. It'll be 3rd down. Right in the middle of that defense, Diego Romero. Romero is 6'2" and 260, a senior. Number 65. Big man.
Yeah, that's part of that front for Cleveland. That 260-pound average on the offense and defensive lines.
3rd down and a long 4. Timeout, ECR. Well, what's your call, Coach, on 3rd and a long 4?
Well, a long 4 gives them a lot more versatility. They can do just about whatever they want. My guess is they'll do a little play action, and the flat has been wide open for them. They just haven't been able to execute. They also have the underneath coverage with tight end. If they're looking at Shirley, Shirley's able to get open in the middle of the field within 7-8 yards underneath. That will give them the first down, and I would expect play action here.
In the last series of downs, the down and distance was greater, but they got it in the flat to Jalen Sanders, number 11. Think he might be a target?
Yeah, again, that's the versatility that Elko has offensively, and of course they've got the ability to run with Hall.
You used to be able to dance like that, right?
Yeah, my last lifetime.
It is a festive atmosphere in Reseda. They're high here on the Cavaliers. Peter Gunny's done a nice job, much like Jason Zabala. And again, when we get to halftime, you're really going to enjoy those two guys yucking it up. And they even made a prediction on what the outcome would be.
I agree. We'll wait and see.
They want to try to draw Cleveland offside. They're not going to bite, I don't believe. It's 3rd down and 4.5. Hall needs to snap the football. They run it. They get a good surge. Armida, 1st down and a lot more.
Armida is not to be denied. He's letting Howard get all the yardage, and he's going to get his share now.
Armida averages 5 yards a carry. Couple touchdowns this year for Elko.
Big gain here. Huge gain for Armida.
Stoppage of play. Peter Gunny's out there chatting with the lead official, Curtis Winston.
They can't, the music's too loud. He's complaining.
Yeah. Can't get his plays called in.
Yeah, they're having too much fun.
1st down, El Camino Real, 36-yard line of Cleveland. Hall on the run, throwing, incomplete. Wanted Armida. That's good defense from Cleveland.
Love was very close to making that play. He was almost on him, and Hall had to get rid of the ball.
2nd down and 10. Number 99 is a big chap, isn't he? Justice Love.
6'4", 275 pounds. Right, he almost ran him down. He had to dump it.
I don't think I'd want him bearing down on me. Second and 10 for El Camino Real. Hall. That's a good throw to Shirley. Still going. 1st and goal, ECR, bumped out of bounds by Shackelford.
What did we just call? We said underneath to Shirley for about 7-8 yards. He makes the play and gains the rest on his own.
That's been a staple of this El Camino offense.
Exactly.
And now you got to figure they'll go back to the ground game.
You'll see pitch power down here, is my guess.
Now, we've always disagreed. I always grew up, they called it power pitch. You call it pitch power.
It's just easier. Pitch power.
Close. Touchdown. Devin Howard. So El Camino Real has scored again. They lead 20-6.
Take a look at the pitch power. You see everybody pulling through, and Howard scores.
That's 2 touchdowns in the first half for Devin Howard, the senior. Don't go wandering off. This is a game that promises to have scoring in it. So even though they're up 14, and it looks good for Elko right now. There's a long way to go. 2:21 left, opening half. Johnson for the PAT. And he's missed his second one of the year. So you mentioned it earlier. It's not automatic. Yeah.
Nothing's automatic.
Let's go back to the Howard score.
There's your pitch power. Watch everybody go through the line.
This looks like Birmingham under Ed Croson, doesn't it?
There you go.
Another successful West Valley League team. So it's 20-6. ECR up 14 on the road, like they are all the time, always on the road.
You had big 71 Jared Gonzalez pulling through there, 6'2", 270-pound tackle, leading that play for Howard.
Two touchdown lead for El Camino Real. Johnson will advance on the football. But if you're Cleveland, you're thinking you score right before half, you get the ball to begin the second half, you come right back into the hunt. Again, the coverage is outstanding and nowhere for Aguilar to roam.
Yet Andres Barrera run down there underneath and almost made the play by himself.
Well, it's been an excellent first half for the El Camino Real defense. Let's see if they can get him off the field one more time and preserve the big lead. First down, Cavaliers. Slow developing play, and Powell able to get a couple. They didn't get off their blocks very well there.
No, but they again, they're not giving Powell a chance to bust it. He's getting held up right at the line of scrimmage almost, and just falling forward and getting a yard.
See that Powell's surveying, and there's no creases for him to run in. Not yet. He had one beautiful run on that opening drive. Second down and 8. Ball at the 27. Minute and a half to play. Opening half, we're going to have another timeout by Cleveland. They're just not organized on offense the way Peter Gunny wants.
Well, you've got to believe that having Hall out of this game made a difference. And as we talked about, Elko game planning differently now. You're looking at how Cleveland had to adjust when, they lose their best receiver and they now have to adapt and adjust. Just as the defense has to, preparing for Hall, they now have to prepare for number one. And then Cleveland has to say, okay, number one, you're going to, Donovan Powell's going to be the force and the factor, and everything shifts to him. And that's a lot of pressure for a young kid, for a young player.
He's not just a wide receiver. Corey Hall was a candidate for City Player of the Year, I believe. Now, this is going to hurt him by being suspended a game. But he's dynamic, great numbers, both in the return game and catching the ball. Coming in, he had 19 receptions for 694 yards, 9 touchdowns, and to me, an astounding 36.5 yards, 36.5 yards per catch, and that's out of the Cleveland lineup. Again, he's been suspended for this one game. Second down and 8, again, stoppage in play. Cardio comes in. Nestor Cardio is a linebacker for El Camino, 41. Play fake. Lopez still has it. Looking long. Got his man, Shackelford, over the shoulder catch, and Howard brings him down, and there's life in Reseda.
And Shackelford was double covered, and yet he was still able to make the play. And, he got up higher than the two defenders and was able to make that play.
How about the throw by Lopez? It was right on the money.
He let go, and that's the baseball player in him. He was able to throw it from center field.
Hurry up offense as you look at the long catch. And back to live action. Lopez looking at his wrist for the play.
He's going again. He's going to go on the fade here.
Quite a hit by Fowles. Number 13 is another young player for El Camino Real who's really coming to the forefront. He too is a sophomore.
Yep. He is the force in the secondary right now. He is the one who made the difference in the coverages, and he's the one who's been able to make the plays in tackles in the open field.
58 seconds left. Second down and 10. The ball at the 28-yard line of El Camino Real. Well, this would be huge for Cleveland if they could stick it in the end zone right before the break. And then you're going to get to hear Peter Gunny and Jason Zabalik talk about their life in the world of football.
There you go. And again, you're going to see Peter Gunny's secondary here. He's going to put the ball up. Gunny is really good at finding open receivers, and he's going to let his quarterback make that happen.
Second down and 10. Be careful here with that running back. He's very quick. Pressure on Lopez, and he unloads. Closest to the ball was Howard. The pass was intended for Alatorre, Omar Alatorre. And again, it's good to see him in. He was shaken up earlier.
You're going to see Coach Gunny put the ball in the hands of his best receiver and get him open and try to score here with about, 50 seconds left?
This is a much improved quarterback from a year ago. That throw that he made to Shackelford was terrific.
That was a baseball player throw for sure.
Third down and 10. Ball again at the 28-yard line of Elko. That one is not near the target. There was tremendous pressure. Again, he was seeking to find Aguilar, but there was 3 on-rushing linemen in Lopez's face, and it's fourth down and long.
Well, again, that was the initial strategy that Elko was coming into the game with, to put pressure on Lopez so that he would not have time to find Corey Hall if Corey Hall was indeed going to play. They were going to bring 5-6 people every time to get Lopez rattled a little bit. And you saw what happened there when they did put pressure on him.
Well, Peter Gunny said we need to execute. Don't give up the big plays. They really haven't given up the big plays. The execution level on offense has been hampered by 50 and 52 on that defensive front, Derbeshian and Williams. Fourth down and 10 to keep the drive alive. Another long throw. Picked off. Howard. Donovan Howard. El Camino has 34 seconds to try to do some work. They're saluting Howard on that sideline.
The brother's not going to let the brother get an edge. They're going to compete against each other, and one is going to try to do better than the other. So one Howard has 2 touchdowns, and the other one is going to try to get one on defense. Again, Lopez just puts it up. He's pressured, and it's just the one who can jump higher, and that was Howard that time.
Howard brothers have been sensational.
Again, they're not going to let the other one outdo the one brother is not going to let the other brother be better. They're competitors.
Didn't see a flag, but they're marching back on the return. There might have been a penalty. It changes a little bit of the strategy. Really, you should kill the clock if they're backed up. I never saw a flag come out. They never indicated one, but they might have said Howard stepped out of bounds on that sideline. But it's a longer field nonetheless. And I think you run the clock out here.
Just keep it on the ground to go into the locker room with a big lead and prepare for the second half.
Well, they're looking to throw it. They're not content for Sanders. He had a shot at the ball. He had a step on Alatorre.
Well, maybe we're both wrong about running out the clock, but I think that's what they're going to do here. I don't think they're going to take another one and take a risk of getting an interception or any kind of a drop pass or fumble.
I think that shows how confident they are in their defense, that they'll air it out like that, throwing all caution to the wind, knowing if they make a mistake, the defense will back them up.
Well, they got, you take one shot and see if it works, and then you go back to your game plan. He was wide open, but the ball just overthrown.
There's 28 seconds left in the half. Confusion reigns for El Camino, so they'll take a timeout.
You want to be correct. You don't want to make a mistake down here. You don't want to give up the ball and give Cleveland another chance to score no matter what. They need to be able to control the ball, put the ball in play, and run out the clock. Smart football, and my guess is that's what they're talking about right now. Not to make any mistakes and not give up the big play.
Absolutely gorgeous night in Reseda. The temperatures cooled off in the valley. It was warm today, but just a delightful night.
You saw the sunset. The crew was able to show a beautiful sunset in the West Valley.
Well, El Camino's healthier this evening. And, Paul, I think that's really showed itself. Some of the guys have been dinged up are back, and they've been very good.
They needed that week off. They had to get well. They played a huge first half schedule. They played some very, very good teams, Newberry Park and Calabasas and Palisades, and they took their lumps, and they needed to have a week off to heal.
Again, they're seeking their third straight win after beating San Fernando and Narbonne. And here's that quick pitch. They almost put it on the ground. It's not what you want to do is run out of bounds. Stop the clock.
What Coach Hayashida's doing here, and just let them run it out. It's going to just finally run out. They're going into the locker room.
Yep, they rolled the clock. Elko can't get into the locker room fast enough with a 20-6 lead. And that will conclude the first half, and a very good one for the visitors from Woodland Hills. Your thoughts?
I am shocked again and surprised that Elko has this big of a lead. I thought this game would be a lot closer. But again, they really showed their skill and ability to control the ball, jumped off sides one or two times, killed a couple of drives. It could have been even a higher score.
So that one holding call really stopped the drive. We've been talking about it. You ready for it? Are you ready for Jason Zabalik with Peter Gunny? Again, this was pre-taped right before the game. We're going to get their predictions and find out a whole lot about the two head coaches for El Camino and Cleveland. Let's check in with that very fine conversation.
Early evening. My name is Jason Zabalik, and I am here at Cleveland High School for our game against Cleveland. And I bring next to me one of my good friends, coaching buddies, arch nemesis from the field in our playing days, Peter Gunny. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm not going to get to hold it? Oh, I get to hold it? Okay, absolutely. It's kind of heavy. Thanks for having me, man. This is a big deal for us and a big deal for both schools. I'm really excited to be here and happy to have you guys here.
Awesome. We're happy to have you on, man. And I'm really excited when we got this opportunity to talk one another before the week. And I was going to let you know beforehand. And I told Randy to make sure you trim the beer up, put some beard oil on there. I asked you how your trick was to get your hair on your head to go down to your beard, because I got to figure that out, because I'm losing hair by the day. I don't know about you. But, what I wanted to really talk about tonight, this evening, was kind of two generations of West Valley League athletes. When we played, back in 1998, to today's game and what you and I have to go through on a daily basis that we talk about and lament day in and day out, and we call each other with each other's problems, and it's almost like calling my psychologist whenever I have issues. I like to call Peter, but take me back to 1998. Tell me where you started, what was your background, and then we'll kind of compare contrast.
Okay, so I grew up here in the San Fernando Valley. Born and raised. My dad was a teacher at Taft High School for 39 years as a physical education teacher. My mom is actually still teaching to this day at Granada Hills High School in her 52nd year. So I attended Granada Hills High School. I played both baseball and football. And yeah, that's kind of my background at this point.
And where'd you go after Granada? Where did the sports world take you afterwards?
So I attended Pierce College. I played baseball and football there. I was lucky enough to get drafted by the Kansas City Royals in 2001. I played 2 years of pro baseball, and then after being released, I came back and then went back to Cal Lutheran and finished up my football career. And then I started coaching in 2007, I believe, at Granada Hills High School.
For Coach Parra, who actually got me into the coaching profession as well when I first started at Pierce College in 2004. I had the great pleasure of playing against Peter in my days, both baseball and football, as I played both at El Camino. And back then, going against West Valley League opponent was something special. In baseball, they went away from it for a long time of the 3 games of league play per team, and that made a big difference, I think. And they went to 2 games in league per league team. But now this year, it's coming back, the 3 games of league play in the West Valley League. I'm really excited about it, and I know you can comment on this as the baseball guru here at Cleveland as well.
Yeah, I am the head baseball coach as well. It was voted upon within the league, and we are going back to a 3-game series. So we'll play 2 games on the front end and then 1 on the back end to wrap it up. It really kind of separates. The idea was to separate because the West Valley typically is a tight race for first and second place. And we were tired of having coin flips and run differentials and things like that, so we decided to have a 3rd game. So that's how that came about.
Just to be clear, I went back to coaching baseball just to keep Peter honest and make sure that he's keeping up with his players over there at Cleveland as I enter my first season back on the baseball field. But let's talk a little bit about football. And where's the game changed, in your opinion, between when I got a chance to play against you on the gridiron? What's the biggest obstacle today?
Well, I think a lot of it's gone to more of a spread look. I think that's what everybody's kind of gone to. I mean, back when you were playing, you had Quincy Wright as a tailback. He was an amazing back. You guys actually won the 3A championship that year, your senior year. Yeah, it was more of an I formation kind of power back. Sometimes you see some split backs and stuff like that, and it was traditionally more of a run game pass second, and now it's gone to spread everybody out and throw first and kind of run second.
And it really changes the level of athletes that come in and out of these schools nowadays where, we didn't have a real quarterback back then. Aaron Fredette was a great athlete, but he was more of a downhill safety than he was a quarterback. Yeah. You played quarterback as a, probably more likely a middle linebacker with your physicality and size, but had the ability to throw on the run. And Peter did go further than me in sports, but I did sack him in our game when we played each other, just so you guys know that. I wanted to put that out there.
I think we won.
I don't know about
JV
that.
At least, not varsity.
I think, yeah.
My senior year, we won.
Yeah, that counts in some realms, but yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Now, what are some of the obstacles you face? Now, you guys got some brand new facilities that I got a chance to look at on the website, and that's really nice and neat. Does that help with bringing kids on campus and the athletics culture on campus?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, they did a $140 million renovation project here on campus. It's really, really beautiful. So yeah, I think that definitely helps and attracts kids to come here. We have a great magnet program. Our magnet program and our OATA program does really well as well. So yeah, I think it definitely helps and brings in people want to come here and have nice facilities and stuff like that.
Now, Peter's being really shy. They have had quite a few really good athletes come in and out the doors here at Cleveland over the course of years in baseball, in football. It's always a competitive game when you're involved, no matter what sport that may be. Do you see a difference in the kids nowadays from when we played?
You know, I think so. I think definitely since I've taken over, since the COVID and stuff like that, you know, it's been a big difference in terms of, you know, having kids come on a regular basis and stuff like that and be committed to the program. But since I've taken over, we've really kind of tried to nurture that and provide a different culture around the football program and baseball program as well. So we're turning the corner here, and we're doing a pretty good job, I think.
No, I think you guys are doing a phenomenal job, buddy. And, you know, I really give you kudos for what you've done and what we've had to go through going through COVID. That's our biggest hurdle and obstacle with today's kids is dealing with that COVID drawback. And it's not just academics, it's mental. And a lot of kids that I'm seeing nowadays are very quiet to this depressed and anxious culture within these adolescent teenagers that I think the pandemic has created. At least that's what I see in the classroom every day. Yeah. You know, all of the other things bombarding these kids on a daily basis. I can't even imagine going through school nowadays. What about you?
No, I think it was a tall task for me, just being at home, locked in the house. I mean, I have 3 young girls running around and stuff like that, but I think definitely not having that human interaction takes a toll on people, and you know, social emotional learning is a big hot topic, and there's a lot of validity to that, and I think students' mental health is super important.
Yeah, and just dealing with the day-to-day, the in and out, and making sure that they're comfortable. I'm sure you're doing that and doing a great job with that. So we're going to jump now. I guess we're supposed to make a guesstimate of what your take is on a final score for tonight's event.
Well, that's going to be tough. I mean, you're doing a really good job. I mean, I've watched film. It's tough to diagnose. I know the computers say one thing, but I think it's going to be I'm hoping it's going to be like a 38-31 game for Cleveland.
Okay, 38-31 Cleveland. There you had it. Cal Preps has Cleveland winning 27-26. My prediction is somewhere along those lines because, once again, you guys have an offense that shocked the world by beating a Palisades team that we had a real obstacle with in our first game out the gate. And, you know, I think it is going to be a close game. I think we're going to have to keep you honest, but I do think El Camino 24-21.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to see what happens there, buddy.
Well, fantastic. Well, thank you. I really appreciate you, buddy. Best of luck tonight.
Good luck to you,
Always
man.
a pleasure, and we'll chop it up later on this week.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Randy, back to you.
All right, thank you. That was fun. That was entertaining to watch the two coaches not being combatants, but being friends.
Well, again, they've been rivals and they've been colleagues for about the last 30 years, 25 years, and now they both have their own programs. They're both dealing with rebuilding and trying to be a real factor in the West Valley League now.
By the way, and if they play some more music here, I think we're just going to take the music from on the field, but I don't know if they're going to stay out there. I think they might be done. Cleveland is renowned for their dance team and their cheerleaders and their bands. Unfortunately, we just caught the tail end of that. They do a great job with that here.
They do, and they're very loud.
Yeah. But entertaining. All right, we still got a little bit of time. We were talking about it during the interview. We had a little bit of a break while our good people were able to watch that interview. But that first series that's coming up, Cleveland's going to get the ball. They're down a couple of scores, is really critical for their chances.
It can be a momentum changer if Cleveland comes out and takes it down the field and scores. It's going to knock a little wind out of El Camino, and they need to be able to recover and bounce back. But El Camino is not going to settle, and it's my guess is that they're talking about that right now and expecting Cleveland to come out and to change the blocking schemes a little bit to give Powell an opportunity to break it. They're also going to look at a little bit of different coverages in the secondary and try to get the ball underneath these DBs. And if they can continue to get Shackelford open on a fade, that could make the difference. And I think we're going to see a different team from Cleveland the second half. I'm expecting it. I think Coach Gunny makes a lot of good adjustments, and He's experienced enough as a coordinator when he was running the offense at Palisades and at Granada. I had the opportunity and the privilege of coaching with him at Granada for several years, and he's a very versatile coach. He's not going to settle. He's going to do everything he can to make a difference, to change things up, to give a different perspective and a different look from the Elko defense. And he's not going to settle. He's going to go for it. He's going to try to score in every opportunity he can. And he'll do some razzle-dazzle, as they called it in the old days. He'll do some reverses, and my guess he'll do some fake plays and try to mess the timing of the Elko defensive line and linebackers. We'll see.
I think the one disappointing aspect for Cleveland, they hit the big play. They got the great throw from Lopez, and he hit Shackelford, who he hit earlier for a touchdown. That big bomb to get inside the El Camino 30, down 20-6, with a chance to get a big score before halftime, and then the drive bogged down.
He rushed the passes. They started to put pressure on him, and the game plan prior to them coming to the stadium was to put pressure on Lopez, to not give him time to throw. They didn't know about Corey Hall until today, and they're going to continue to do that now. They're going to put pressure on Lopez to try to force the pass and make him do things that he doesn't want to do, rushing the throw, pushing it rather than throwing it, and keep him off balance.
Yeah, it ended up that series where Devin Howard got an interception and brought it out of harm's way, and that was really the only turnover of the half. There was a turnover on downs that the El Camino Real Royals capitalized. They were able to stop this fine team from Cleveland and take over, have a short field and score as El Camino's back out to warm up. Still a few minutes before we have the second half kickoff. Devin Howard was great in the first half. Talk about Donovan, his brother, getting the interception. But Devin had 2 short touchdown runs, but he ran hard every time he toted the football.
He is hard to bring down. You can't tackle him with your arms or hands. You've got to put your body on him, and he is going to break tackles until he gets where he needs to be. And he is a competitor. Both brothers are competitors. They want to make sure that they're a factor in every game. They're not going to sit back and just let other people do it.
I think it's about that time in the halftime show where we'll take a look at some first half highlights. And if you're an El Camino fan, you're going to be fond of most of these highlights, one would imagine. There's Howard's short touchdown run. See, the Royals were really hitting. There's Howard again making a defensive play. Fowles is a good-looking football player, number 13 for El Camino.
And he's a backup to where he can do, if he's called in on any play, he can make things happen as well.
I like Sanders. This kid's got some strength. Look at that yak yardage he's able to pile up. He didn't quite get the first down here, but did a great job.
And you can't tackle him with arms or hands. You've got to put a body on him as well. You saw him break 4 arm tackles there.
There's Colin Armida. Got a big third down pickup of the necessary yardage.
Elko is real deep at running back, and if Howard can't do it, then clearly Armida can, or Fowles will step right up and take the spotlight.
Here's that deep ball we were talking about to Shackelford. Great catch before Howard dragged him down.
And the ball was put right on the money.
And then Howard got a little bit of revenge, didn't he? And then after this, it was very late in the half, ECR ran out the clock. So we're just about ready for some football in the second half. What do you expect, Paul?
Well, I expect Peter Gunny to do the unexpected. I expect him to put the ball up in the air. He is a former quarterback, and he is a baseball player, and he'll take chances where the other team may not. Elko has to be prepared for that. They have to know that Peter is a gunslinger, and he's going to put the ball up. And if they can pressure Lopez, and if they can get him to release the ball sooner, they'll make big plays on interceptions.
It's also good to see the families of both the Sabolics and the Gunnies here tonight.
Yeah.
It's a family affair.
It is a family affair, and that's what football's all about. It brings everybody together, and it keeps keeps the focus on the competition, and everybody does a good thing, and it's a fun way to live your life and enjoy the sport.
You know, I asked Peter Gunny last night on SoCal Prep Report, how does he feel about coaching against a good friend? He goes, I like it. It's competitive, friendly, but it's very competitive, and it's really great. I mean, and they are close. They are close.
They are. They've known each other since high school and have had the opportunity of coaching together, and then, of course, coaching in opposition. And they talk to each other all the time. It's really good to have an ally, and you only compete against them once a week or once a year, and you're competing against other teams where you now can share information. I remember in high school, our coaches were always friends with the other coaches. They were always sharing information, and there wasn't any hostility or any kind of indifference. They all wanted to help the players and make sure the players were doing their best.
What's my biggest pet peeve? When they put 3 minutes extra on the clock after both sides have warmed up, and I know they do it in all the games. I just don't get it.
I'm glad you said it because I wouldn't know where to start, Randy.
It makes no sense.
Did we ever find out why they do that?
No, but I need to ask, I got to call the city or the southern section and find out what the deal is, because these guys are just, as you can see, they're standing around and they want to play.
Well, they got to keep their bodies warm, and they can't let the stiffness set in. They've got to keep loose, and the 3 minutes can make a big difference if you're sitting. I expect Elko to also throw to Shirley some more. Again, with that underneath pattern that we saw at the end of the half, where he was able to catch about an 8-yard pass and run an extra 18 yards.
Again, I think the biggest adjustment we're going to see right out of the gate. What does Cleveland do offensively to move the football against the ECR stout defense? Those two guys in the middle, Derbeshian and Williams, 50 and 52 respectively, have just caused havoc with that front wall of Cleveland.
Yeah, they have not been able to block them. They're able to get through the gaps, and even a double team. Derbeshian's broken a couple of double teams and has been a major factor on the defensive line, allowing the linebackers to make some plays.
Getting ready for the second half. Jason Zabalik looking very comfortable.
But he's stressing inside. He's never comfortable, truly. No head coach is.
Finally set to kick it off to begin the second half with Asa Johnson doing the honors. And I believe this is going to be a critical drive to see how Cleveland responds. And their fine senior quarterback, Lopez, the captain. There's Johnson. He has it teed up.
He has yet to put it in the end zone. I'm expecting him to do that.
It's this one pretty good, and it will be through the end zone.
And that's where you want the other team to start, deeply into their second half as possible.
Well, on the year, Lopez has hit 53% of his passes for 1,056 yards. I told you that in the first half, but he's thrown 13 touchdowns, and the interception in the first half is only his second of the year. So 13-2 is a terrific ratio.
But 9 of those went to Corey Hall.
They did.
And he's not here tonight.
He is not. He may be in the building somewhere peeking, but he's not on the football field because he's suspended for this one game. After an altercation at Carson last week.
Look to Shackelford here.
First down from the 20. So they get Powell the ball in the passing game. And it pays a giant dividend. So we see the first new wrinkle from Cleveland.
And as I said earlier, Gunny's going to do these kinds of things. And this is the pattern that Powell ran very well against Carson, and they weren't able to shut it down. And this is what I'm going to expect from them tonight, is to open it up. And when Powell can't catch it, then Shackelford will be the deep threat.
This gives them a gain of 20 yards. Second longest through the air, but a lot of yak yardage for Donovan Powell, the brilliant junior who was sick last week. Still tried to go and play, and he did play at Carson, but he was under the weather. He's healthy tonight. First down from the 40. Lopez again airing it out, deflected and incomplete. He wanted Shackelford, and when the ball glanced off of him, then it became a live football, didn't it?
No, that's exactly right. But again, he's looking at Shackelford as the threat in the secondary, and Powell as the threat in the flat.
First 47 seconds of the back half. El Camino with a 20-6 lead. They had a big lead at Narbonne, and it got dicey at the finish line before they prevailed 32-22. This is the West Valley League opener. Here's the delay to Powell. Donovan Powell is rocked after a gain of about 4. Excellent defense in the secondary from DJ Harris.
Yep. Along with McCoy.
Passing the mask, number 34.
Face mask against El Camino Real is going to give Cleveland a first down. Joseph Edwards got summoned by the gear. The way Shackelford's playing with the helmet, it might have been him.
But he wasn't even in on the play.
Yeah, that's a long one, too. This is 15 yards. And just like that, Cleveland's made the adjustment with a little bit of help from El Camino Real, and they can score real quick here.
They can.
First down. 40-yard line of ECR. Powell, another big chunk. And Cleveland indeed has come out, and they're controlling the line of scrimmage.
Well, Elko is now planning for the pass, and they're opening up that defensive front a little bit, and it's giving that little gap to Powell, and that's all he needs.
One of the El Camino players is down with an apparent leg cramp, so we have a timeout for the moment. Well, we talked about it. It was plain and simple to us. You know, we've seen a lot of games. This opening drive, we wanted to see the adjustments, and Cleveland's made the adjustments. Now what does El Camino need to do defensively to slow this offense down?
Well, again, they've got to go back to playing the run. They started at the beginning of the game. They knew they were going to have to shut down Powell. They've gone away from that. They've now looked at the secondary, and they're making adjustments in the secondary and in the linebackers. But their defensive front has to step up, and they know that Powell's going to be the factor again. And in what I would say is step up, put 7 in the box, and shut down Powell.
In essence, force Lopez to beat you in the air.
Force him to put the ball up and then pressure him when he does.
Still attending to the player who's down with the leg cramp, apparent leg cramp. I think it's Edwards. Yeah, 34. So he's okay, and he's never hurt there. It's just one of those leg cramps, and those aren't fun, are they?
No, they're not. Charlie Horse is hurt just like anything else.
Now, the good news on the leg cramp, it gave the El Camino defense some rest. And the way Cleveland's moving the football down the field, they're all the way down to the 25.
They've got to stop Powell.
First down, Cleveland. Lopez on the rollout. That's a great throw. On the move to Alatorre.
They gave him too much time to throw it, and Alatorre opened up, and they completed it.
Not a large gain, though. It picked up 3, but I really, again, on the run, like the throw by Lopez. So another opportunity for Cleveland. Remember, they had one late in the first half and didn't capitalize. Got the interception, did the Royals, from Devin Howard. But normally Lopez is very reliable with the ball. Doesn't turn it over.
Okay, they've got 6 up in the box now. And they're putting pressure on Lopez.
Deep throw. Flag is out. Interference on fouls. Easy play to call. He was all over Aguilar. Now, that's not a spot foul in high school. It'll be half the distance to the goal.
You have a pass interference. Number 13 on the defense will be 15 yards from the previous spot. And that'll result in a first down.
It sure will. And it was an obvious infraction.
Well, he was getting beat deep, and so he just mugged him.
Cleveland has come out and taken control.
They have.
Shackelford's a load, isn't he?
He had him beat. And they had to at least stop the touchdown.
Well, let's see if Cleveland can punch it in here. They've done a better job in their passing game coming out. I know you're concerned about slowing that run game down, but the passing game has had some nice plays here, so they've had good balance.
Well, they've had two big penalties. They had the face mask penalty and now the pass interference penalty that gave them about 30 yards worth of territory.
1st and 7 for a touchdown. Powell in his backfield is trapped, still battling, and down he goes. Harris in for the stop with assistance from Antonio Diaz.
They've got to load the box on him and then protect against the fade to Shackelford in the end zone.
Go inside 10 minutes to play in the third. This is critical, one would think. If you're Cleveland, you don't want to come up empty here after this beautiful drive.
But again, you saw 7 people in the box for El Camino. They're set on stopping Powell.
Second down and goal.
They're bringing the backers again.
Lopez rolling the other way. That's great. That's just a wonderful throw for the touchdown. Easy to Cerrito.
Yep. So now you set the tone.
Aiden Cerrito was wide open.
That was a play that was drawn up and executed perfectly.
20-12. Cleveland within 8.
I'm surprised they're not going for 2 here.
I don't know if that scoreboard's right, is it? Yeah, it's 20-6, 20-12. I think you're right. I think you do it maybe on the next time. You know, if you make the PAT here.
Might be a fake. This is Peter Gunny. No.
Kick is low, but it did get through. It wasn't artistic, but it did get through the pipes. It's 20-13, so the lead is cut in half.
But that was a well-designed play. It was a fake to Powell, and it pulled the defense over to 1 and just opened up that pattern.
We got a ball game now.
We do.
Yep.
We do.
This
exactly
is far
right.
from over. That
That's
man with the
exactly
beard
right.
there, Peter Gunny, just put on a clinic on how to coach.
He's not to be denied. That's exactly right, as we talked about.
I kidded him last night. I said, you interview with Jason at halftime, but he's so long, you'll look like Rip Van Winkle before it's over, but that beard will grow. But Peter's a good guy. He's very nice to the media, easy to work with. Players like him, and like Jason Zabalik, building a nice program.
They had to struggle with COVID. They both came in during COVID and had to deal with a lot of adversity.
Well, to me, that was the key to the whole game. What was going to happen after halftime, and Cleveland has made its statement.
They had to come down and score and get back into this game. Now, Elko's got to do the same thing. They've now got to switch momentum, and they've got to be able to run the ball on Cleveland and sustain the drives.
Very returnable kick. Sanders gives El Camino terrific field position to the 50. Stephen Haw made the tackle.
I would suspect that Elko will keep it on the ground and move the ball down the field as they did in the last couple of minutes of the first half. You got Sanders again. You can't tackle him with arms. You've got to grab him and you got to put a body on him to make him stop.
Ball squarely at the midfield stripe. Terrific field position for the Royals. Up by a touchdown. Fouls is caught for a loss. It's two different teams from the first half, isn't it?
They are. Again, they're playing with purpose. Cleveland came to play in the second half.
Jason Zabalek's team, I think, needs to find an aerial game now. Cleveland's going to sell out to stop the run. Maybe Jake Shirley underneath.
That could be. If they're going to throw it, that's where it needs to go.
Remember, we talked so much about Hall being out, Corey Hall of Cleveland. In the first half, Rafa Cortez was shaken up, the best receiver for El Camino Real, and he's gone. Second down and 11. Fouls as they fake to Howard. Bouncing the other way. What a run.
He's got a blocker.
Well, that's a huge play by number 13, Dreden Fouls.
And you had Howard out there leading the block.
Let's go, Cleveland. Let's go. Let's go, Cleveland. Let's
Looked like it was going to get hit for a loss.
Yeah.
Cleveland. Let's go. Let's go, Cleveland. Let's go. Let's go, Cleveland.
That's sensational moves.
Let's go, Cleveland.
He did that all by himself.
Cleveland, let's go. Let's go, Cleveland. Let's go. Hold down. Let's go, Cleveland. Let's go. Let's go,
Well,
Cleveland.
an opportunity for Elko to answer. Pass near side. Howard dropped it. Hearing footsteps, Sebastian Contreras was beating down on Howard.
They put him out there on an island. There was no other receiver out there to make a block for him, and they were hoping that he could catch it and make a move and bust it. But he got to catch it first.
Well, Javen Hall, would you like to see him with maybe an option to throw or run here?
He's got the feet. He's going to be able to keep it and run. There's Coach Hayashida giving him the play right now.
Give me an L. Give me an E. Give me a B. Give me an E.
Rick Hayashida, the offensive coordinator, and a good one for El Camino Real. 2nd and 10. Hall taking off. Nice effort by the quarterback of ECR.
He's got the ability to run, and he did that. He demonstrated it there. Did he make the first down? I couldn't tell.
All the way down to the 14, a couple yards shy.
He's the 12th man. He can make stuff happen with his feet.
3rd down and about 3.5 is what they're going to spot it. Ermita is the up back. Howard is the I back. There's your power pitch.
Yep.
Devin Howard driving for the goal line. Touchdown, El Camino Real. Power pitch.
Pitch power. Pitch
All right.
power.
Either way, 3 touchdowns for number 1.
That is old school rock'em sock'em football right there.
Quite an answer by El Camino Real.
It came right back down the field. Again, not to be denied. We had to see that. They're not going to let Cleveland get an edge.
Well, that huge run by Fouls bailed them out.
And that was a broken play.
Asa Johnson, who missed a PAT, surprisingly. Bad snap, and it's blocked. That's not on Asa Johnson. That was a poor snap. And it's 26-13, and every time you lose a point like that, it just opens the gate a little bit for your opponent.
Here's Devin Howard following everybody through the hole. Every lineman available has gone and preceding him.
Well, again, what did the coaches tell us before the game? There's going to be offense. We're seeing it here in the third. (26-13) El Camino Real. Each team with a touchdown here in the third quarter, but this time Cleveland converts the PAT and El Camino Real fails.
Johnson missed 2.
Well, that one wasn't his fault. Just a poor snap, and Holder couldn't get it down.
But they're going to show it in the book as being a missed PAT.
Right, it will. Johnson to kick off. Again, we're going to see if El Camino can slow down Cleveland's attack.
He's got to put it in the end zone. Oh.
Strong leg. He'll start from the 20.
Yep. That in itself is a weapon. If they can continue to put that ball in the end zone and let the other team start and go 80, it'll have an effect towards the end of the game. It wears you down. They've got to go 80 yards to score.
We haven't played 5 minutes in this quarter, and each side with a touchdown.
They came to play tonight, that's for sure.
Well, it's league play, and
we said
these teams know each other. So
it would be competitive, and it is.
It's Lopez's turn. Fakes to Powell, and he's going for the big one. Underthrown. Shackelford, the target. That ball just didn't get out there far enough.
They tried to do the same play. You notice that the entire line went one direction, and Lopez went the other direction and tried to get it to Shackelford.
That wrinkle, that little waggle and bootleg move has baffled El Camino. It's given Lopez time to throw.
It has, and that is what they've got to be able to stop. But if they give him time, he'll complete the pass. They've got to pressure him, and they've got to be able to stop Powell.
Looks like he's hobbled a little bit there, didn't it? What I like about this quarterback is he just normally doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes. He's not going to beat himself with turnovers. He did throw the one interception, but it was a 4th down play, and he had to unload it anyway.
Right.
Again, protected well. Finally breaks down, and he had to throw it away.
Did they call it on that?
There is a marker out.
We need some spirit. Yeah, we need some spirit. Yeah, we need some what? Some what? We need some spirit.
There was no receiver in the area.
Yeah, we need some spirit. Yeah, we have what? Right here. What?
Yeah, he was just throwing it away.
We need some
Illegal sham.
spirit.
2-minute motion at the snap. 5 yards. Replay. First down.
Oh, they called that first.
It should be 2nd down, isn't it? Yeah, it's 2nd down. Curtis Winford said
You say Cavs. Cleveland.
1st down, but it's 2nd down.
Cleveland. All right. Okay.
2nd and 15. The draw and the screen game has been effective for Cleveland. Again, here's that waggle. That time it was covered up nicely. The ball was intended for Alatorre.
And you saw Darbeshian just bearing down on Lopez.
3rd and 15. Well, this is a big play for Cleveland. You're at 6:53 left in the third. You're down 13 points. You don't want to relinquish the football here and give El Camino good field position. Now the clock is starting to be a factor. If El Camino can stop them right here, because now he can run out most of the third quarter, and you're behind like this. And Cleveland's playing without a valuable asset in Corey Hall, so their striking power isn't as great. So they need to convert right here. There are the numbers that are relevant.
You may look at Powell in the flat again. That play worked 2 times for big gains. And if they've got to score, they've got to get 13 or 14 yards. It might be something to give Powell a chance to one-on-one with somebody, especially a linebacker.
Screen or draw, what do you think? Or does he go down the field?
I don't think he goes deep. But.
Yep, he's protected well. Lopez firing the deep ball into traffic. It's incomplete. Fowles nearly had the interception. He was really the closest to the ball. I was just thrown up for grabs. The intended receiver did not have a chance to reel that one in.
No, you had Zane and you had Fowles right there, and he just put it up. Very dangerous throw.
Cerrito, who had caught the touchdown in the first half, was the target. 21.
But he literally double covered. And not something you want to put up there.
So it's 4th down and 15. So El Camino indeed figures to get terrific field position.
Can't jump off sides. Watch the ball.
Make some noise. All righty, come on, Cleveland. We're behind you.
There's the punt. It's away. Returnable for Tovin. He has a lane. Sam Tovin. El Camino's in business. Deep in Cleveland territory.
He put it in afterburner, saw the gap, and he hit it.
What'd you say?
He was gone.
What'd you say? Whose house? What'd you say? Whose house?
I like this answer from El Camino after the Cleveland score to begin the 3rd quarter.
They came out in the 2nd quarter, and Cleveland looked like they were going to stay in it, and things can turn really quickly. One or two plays turns the momentum, and this is one of them.
Sam Tovin, who's had some good moments in his El Camino Real career, intercepting the ball. He's got to feel good about that return.
He's got a couple of interceptions under his belt already.
There was an El Camino foul, and they're a team that needs to clean up their fouls if they're going to do well in the playoffs. They really hurt themselves.
They make mistakes, and they just shoot themselves more than anything. And
Number 22 on the offense or in the run back. It'll be 10 yards. It'll be 1st down. You got to mark it off 10 yards.
was it from the?
Well, I don't know where he held them from. So this is going to be a costly infraction. And we saw this in the first half with the hold. But again, even with all this, they get the ball, they have good field position. They're going to be in Cleveland territory, but it's the kind of football that if you're in a tight game, you can really hurt yourself.
Well, again, they've got to be able to sustain the drive here, and they've got to be able to not make mistakes if they want to stay in this game and win it. They can't make those kind of mistakes.
A couple penalties have hurt El Camino tonight. Fouls is the running back next to Hall. And Hall taking to the air. Had his man Sanders and missed him.
Wide open. Sanders was wide open underneath.
Now if you're Cleveland, still in the hunt, still in the fight, they get a defensive stop here, they still have plenty of time.
Oh, yeah. But I would suspect that Elko go back to the run right now and try to get some yardage. And even though they got 20 yards to go.
That is 2nd and 20.
I don't know how that could be.
Hall looking to run, and he can't go anywhere. Taken down by Diego Romero. I'm a little confused by why.
How was that a punt and they had to go 20 yards? That just doesn't make any sense.
No, it's not the rule. I don't understand it.
Let's go. Let's go, Cleveland. Let's go.
It should have been 1st and 10.
I'm surprised Elko didn't challenge that.
All right. Sounds good.
That was a baffling spot of the football. So now you're looking for 3rd and 22.
Let's go, Cleveland. Let's go. Last time. Let's go, Cleveland. Let's go. Come on, boys. Got this.
See the clock winding down in the third quarter. Play fake by Hall. Goes underneath again. It's Howard that came up with it, Devin Howard. But they're way short of the necessary yardage. Normally you would punt him and try to pin him down, but who knows? 4th down and 13 to go. See if they try to punt it. Get it inside the 15-yard line or so, but so far we haven't seen Asa Johnson. Kind of surprised they're going to go for it here.
I'm not sure of this call. Unless Hall kicks it. Unless he does it himself.
And he has punted on occasion this year.
Correct.
Or he might just come up there and take a penalty too. Give him a little more room to punt. A lot of options. I think he's just going to kill the clock here and just let it run out. And they don't care if they get the penalty. See, I don't agree with this either, taking the timeout. I'd rather lose the 5 yards. Why burn the timeout?
Again, I'm still stunned by that penalty that was a punt return, and they started 1st and 20.
Yeah, it's just flat out wrong.
I'm not sure I understand that.
I've never seen that, so I don't think it's right, and I think it's just a huge mistake. Now, if I'm El Camino, I would have been out there saying, what's going on?
Exactly. I'm not sure why that didn't happen, but they might know something we don't know.
Maybe it's a new rule. Now, you do back them up to that spot, but it should have been 1st and 10 rather than 1st and 20.
Exactly.
And that would change this call immensely. Instead of being 4th and 13, it would be 4th and 3 theoretically.
I'm not sure why they're doing this, but
I'm still not sure they're going to snap the football.
Well, they won't start the clock now until they do.
I can still take the delay a game. They are going to go for it. Hall. Ball goes over on downs, the Guzman tackle, and I don't understand it either.
I don't understand why they did what they did. That makes no sense. That was just a different call.
Now, they did have Shirley open over the middle, but there was pressure on Hall, and he didn't have time to unload.
Didn't have time to get rid of it, yeah.
Again, rely on that defense. You got to have some confidence, so they're taking some chances on offense.
That's what we meant.
Guzman made the stop, but the guy that made the play was Diego Romero, who broke down the pocket.
Exactly.
Powell. How about the strength of Williams?
he just grabbed him and threw him down.
Pickup of 5 for Donovan Powell. Powell's not a big young man. He's only 5'6" and 140 pounds. I'm sure the junior will put up a little weight next year, but he doesn't have the largest frame, but he runs very hard, and he too is a game breaker.
He runs big.
He does. Again, there's that waggle. Lopez tucks it and goes, and is thrown out of bounds. Tackled by Harris, who's had a productive game in the secondary, making stops, number 20 for ECR.
And you notice that Elko didn't have any outside contain. There was no linebacker out there to basically put pressure on Lopez, and he allowed them to turn the corner.
Cleveland's moving. Here they come down the field again. That little wrinkle, that little adjustment, a little bootleg action has made a huge difference, giving Lopez time to throw the ball. Not a good snap. And that's going to cost Cleveland yardage. That's so tough, and your quarterback takes a beating.
Yeah, he got literally put in the dirt that time.
We're still here. Give me a
Now, we've talked about some of the El Camino mistakes with snaps and penalties. There's Cleveland shooting themselves in the foot.
It's mistakes that kill you. It's what causes coaches to have ulcers.
What's that spell? Who's gonna score?
Loss of 7, 2nd and 17. 26-13 ECR, late third quarter action. Again, here's the screen game. Powell, great call again. No, it's Guzman that came in. Daniel Guzman.
That's that short, quick pass, that screen look, and again, that's Peter Gunny. He'll run those plays until they can break. There's nobody out here. Wide open. No contain.
Powell had checked out, and Guzman does the job. Ball spotted at the 37 of Elko. Cleveland looking to score once again. Incomplete. Shackelford was the one who was targeted. It might have hit the helmet. It certainly looked like it hit the helmet of Devin Howard.
Again, they're going to go to Shackelford. There's no Hall, so Shackelford's the intended receiver on almost every pattern.
Exactly. 2 minutes left in the third quarter.
Elko needs a big stop here.
Trips to the right side for the Cavaliers.
You got to pressure Lopez. They're coming.
Powell up the middle. It'll be 3rd and long. Edwards tripped him up. Third down, 6. Late third quarter action. El Camino again on the road trying to hold on. Cleveland is 4-1 this year. Their only loss at Carson. Had a big win to start the year at Palisades.
They're coming again.
Pressure. Retreating is Lopez. And he's going to run and make the first down. Harris got there a little bit late. This quarterback is tough.
Yep. He doesn't have the speed that you would think, but when he gets open, he can make the play. He turned the corner, and there was no contain again on the outside for Elko.
Steve Ha has come in with the play, but here's Lopez, again, turning what would be a loss into a gain and a first down. Excellent drive by the Cavaliers after stopping El Camino Real on downs. Another bad snap. Got to fall on the football. Who will get it? El Camino Real. So Cleveland is making the mistakes as well.
That is, again, a killer. You can't make those kind of mistakes. Bad snaps over the head. It kills your drive and it destroys your momentum.
What did I say at the beginning of the games? These two teams mirror one another. Same kind of success, same kind of failures.
You have your crystal ball, Randy. You're able to call it. I mean, bad snap, just what you don't want to see and you don't want to expect it. And Powell needed to fall on the ball. He shouldn't have tried to pick it up. He should have just fallen on it.
There was 2 or 3 guys that technically didn't do it right. Like you said, you got to fall on the ball.
Fall on the ball.
Both offense and defensive guys are trying to scoop it up, fall on the football.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
You and I had to go into coaching.
We should. We, probably be better than broadcasters.
Well, maybe. Maybe you would be. I don't know how good a coach I'd be.
I'm certainly not a good broadcaster.
Oh, no, you're doing fine. So it's first down for El Camino at their 47-yard line. Final 42 seconds of the third quarter. and a flag comes out.
Game, too much time.
Delay a game on
5 yards.
El Camino.
Replay,
You're just dying up here watching these two teams.
I can't believe the mistakes they're making. It is game 6 for these teams. These are mistakes that are first week, second week mistakes. These are not week 6 mistakes. It shouldn't happen.
I think Coach Gunny and Coach Zabalik might go out and try to purchase somebody who can snap the ball correctly because they're both struggling with that.
I don't know how they could purchase them, but they certainly.
Can they get someone off the waiver wire?
They need somebody. Elkos need to keep it on the ground here. They got to run the football.
Well, it's 1st and 15 after the foul.
It's all right. Run the football. You'll bust it.
Well, we'll see. They're going right up the middle. Well, they got a good game. 5 plus about 3 or 4 more. That's how you get it done. Drive that football forward. Fouls with another fine effort.
They got to keep it on the ground. They got to sustain this drive. They got to get 4 more first downs, score, and it could be the telling part.
Well, they don't have to snap it again here in the third quarter. That should run it out. I'm still bewildered by that holding call on the kick return where it became 1st and 20.
Yeah,
that's a new rule that we've never seen in football that we've been covering for 1,000 years.
I think I need to research that one.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to. After 3, it's 26-13 for the blue and white of El Camino Real.
That's a double question mark on that penalty. I'm curious as to how that happened.
You know, coming in, I would have said, El Camino, slight underdog, this would be considered an upset. Not anymore with Corey Hall out. This game was really a Pickett game coming in.
I was close to saying it was a 3-point game even with Hall because I thought the kicker would have been the difference, but I didn't expect this from Elko. I thought they would.
Here's where they adjusted and immediately the screen to Donovan Powell.
Again, I'm surprised they haven't done that more and put him out there all by himself and let him run. This was the first drive, and he just turned it loose. You can't let him go. You can't let him get loose. And the waggle that you called, touchdown.
Cerrito was by himself.
That was, again, they put all the linemen went one direction. And
speaking about direction, how about the change of direction by Fowles?
Yeah, that was all by himself. He did that all alone.
And it led to a Devin Howard 3rd touchdown of the night.
Pitch power.
All right, I'm not countering. 2nd down and 7 at the 50-yard line for El Camino as we begin the fourth quarters. Devin Howard was celebrating, and well, he should. 3 touchdowns on the ground tonight.
Just to explain, the reason why you say pitch power first is because he's actually pitching the ball. He's not giving it like in a power. So
okay, I'll give you my counter in a minute.
Okay.
Hall throwing on 2nd down. Missed his target. You want my counter?
Yes.
All the power goes to one side, and then they pitch the ball.
Okay. I'll accept that.
Another flag, I think. Is that what we're going to have? I think we did have another marker out. El Camino's retreating.
What is he calling?
Holding.
53. Going to be 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Replay, 2nd down.
That's the center, Jaden Salas.
El Camino cannot make these mistakes. They just cannot do that.
Well, it doesn't matter if Cleveland makes just as many.
Well,
you say they're both making mistakes.
If there's quid pro quo, that's wonderful. But I don't see that. I see El Camino making more mistakes and still holding the lead, which is surprising.
They set up the screen to Fowles. Good defense by the Cavaliers.
Shouldn't have stopped.
Swarming.
Fowles stopped. He shouldn't have stopped. He should have kept running.
Well, the good news for ECR, with the completion, it keeps the clock going. And in the fourth quarter, they're up 13.
I don't know what Coach Hayashida was thinking when he went away from the run. They need to run the clock, and they need to gain yardage on the run to sustain drives.
One minute expired in the fourth quarter. Hall darting to the outside. Throws it away. Got outside the tackle box and threw it out of bounds. That was 3rd and a mile, so they're bringing in the punting unit.
And let's see if they can do a long snap here.
Cerrito drops back to return. Asa Johnson will punt it. And again, he averages 44 yards a punt. Those are good numbers at any level.
The snap has to be there, though.
That is the truth.
Dead ball. False start number 67 on the offense. 5 yards. Replay. 4th down.
Well, they're just not playing clean football. We saw this at Narbonne, and they got away with it. And they may get away with it tonight.
I don't know.
When you play Birmingham and Granada Hills down the road, you make these kind of mistakes, you're going to get burned.
You can't do that, gentlemen. You just can't do that.
See where the snap is. That first one wasn't very good. That's a little bit better. Johnson gets out cleanly. Takes a favorable roll for ECR. See what Cleveland can do. They're right around their 40-yard line.
We need Elko needs a 3 and out here. And my guess is that you're going to see, again, a waggle. You're going to see a screen. You're going to see Peter Gunny pulling plays out of his playbook.
First and 10. Cleveland. They spot the ball at the 37-yard line. Emiliano Lopez trying to bring his team back. In the pocket, he's working and throwing the deep ball. He's lucky that wasn't intercepted. Cerrito was the target, but Tovin really had a beat on it.
It was Tovin looking for his 3rd interception.
Of the year.
Of the year.
Of course, he had that long punt return that they had the holding foul on. It's brought back.
Again, Lopez is just putting it up. I'm not sure why he's just throwing it out there. And
well, he's used to Corey Hall coming down with large catches like that. And you're right. That's unlike Emiliano. He normally doesn't throw it up for grabs like that. 2nd down and 10. Cerrito breaks 1 tackle. That's a good job by number 21. Fouls finally got him to the ground. First down, Cleveland. Pickup of 12.
That old quote by Coach John McKay at USC when he had all the tailbacks. He used to say there's 3 things that can happen when you throw a pass, and 2 are bad.
Well, this one was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other 2 are obviously incomplete and intercepted.
Correct. That's why he always kept the ball on the ground with his tailbacks.
Ball at the 48.
There's the screen.
They weren't on the same page. Powell wasn't even into his route, and the ball was delivered.
Yeah, but he had Ross out there trying to lead the block, number 76.
You can see the fact that Cleveland is a little handicapped without Corey Hall. They are shackled. They just can't stretch you as much.
That's very, very true. Good point.
Thank you. 2nd down and 10. Lead is 13 for the team on defense in blue and white, El Camino Real. Leading by 26-13. Another high snap. Powell giving ground. Nice effort by Donovan Powell. Harris, DJ Harris, number 20, has made 5 tackles coming out of the secondary tonight.
Yep. He's that factor on the outside as a corner, and he's a press corner, but he's also forcing the run.
3rd and about 6. Of course, at this stage, they'll use all 4 downs unless this play goes awry and they lose yardage.
They've got to pressure Lopez.
Delay. Powell has first down yardage. Well, no surprise, they went back to Donovan Powell, even though it was 3rd and 6. He averages again 9 yards a carry.
Again, they were in a coverage, defensive coverage. They weren't looking for Powell to get the ball, and that's again, Peter Gunny gives you the unexpected.
Still plenty of time for Cleveland to pull this one out. 8.5 minutes left. They're down 13. And they're driving. Speaking of driving, that's a good job by Guzman, number 3. They have 2 good running backs here in Powell and Guzman. This is an underrated running back. Daniel Guzman does a nice job.
And he's a junior.
So's Powell.
Yep.
They'll both be back next year. Second and 6. Incomplete. Looking to set up the screen. 3 El Camino players in on the quarterback. Lopez forced his hand.
Made him throw quicker than he wanted to.
Again, we'll be at Chatsworth next week for the Chancellors and the Royals. Of course, join us for SoCal Prep Report next Thursday as well. It's at 9 o'clock. Our football game next Friday will be at 7. Lots of action on LA36. Good sports.
El Camino needs to make a stop here.
3rd and 6. The handoff, Guzman. Plenty of running room. Easy first down. Harris again brought him down. But the ground game, and it's Cleveland that's getting off the ball and winning the battle in the trenches.
Well, they ran a trap on the left side with
Boy, Harris is making a lot of tackles, isn't he?
that's not where you want to make that tackle. You want to make it at the line of scrimmage.
1st and 10, the ECR 17-yard line. 7:20 remains. Wide open is Cerrito. Got away from fouls, didn't get away from Tovin.
Tovin is a sure tackler. He'll grab you and hold you.
That was actually a loss of 1.5 yards. Still plenty of time. We've just gone inside of 7 minutes. But Cleveland needs the touchdown. Down 13. Thrown up for grabs and incomplete. And again, a lot of heat on Lopez. He wanted Shackelford, but really he was just throwing it out of harm's way. He was under great duress. He would have been sacked had he not unloaded. What's that, the old term, chuck and duck?
They called a late flag here. Shackelford was tackled literally before he got the ball.
Officials are going to confer.
We have a holding during that last play, number 22 on the defense. That's going to be enforced from the previous spot, 10 yards.
He held him.
So again, these teams make mistakes. You got to live with it. I guess that's the personality of El Camino in Cleveland. But now Cleveland will be at point-blank range. They have a real shot to still win this football game. Ball's at the 9-yard line. Guzman battling.
Donovan Powell.
Elias holding on for dear life. Edgar Elias, 54. Sifting in there, doing a good job for Elko. It's a loss of a couple. You know, it's third down. It was second and short. Now it's third down. And you look at the clock, and we go inside of 6 minutes to play. Critical for Cleveland to score. Looking at third down and 4. See that clock. Play fake.
Again, no
Lopez.
contain.
He's really good. That bootleg gives him a touchdown. 26-19. Emiliano Lopez, one of the captains of Cleveland.
He had no contain on the outside here. That's what opened that up, and he was able to take it in. There was nobody there, literally.
It's a one-score football game. Cleveland very much a part of this contest. Andy Gary for the point after.
Peter Gunny fake here.
Oh, no, they can make their PATs and win the game. That one's through, and it's 26-20. No need to fake it there.
That's true.
Now, if you're El Camino, you need to sustain a drive and try to put some points on the board.
Well, look at it. There's nobody there. No contain whatsoever on the outside for El Camino. That's just a huge defensive mistake. They can't allow that if they're going to play in this league.
I'm thinking if you're El Camino, you run some clock. If you're in a perfect world, and try to get Asa Johnson in a position. Here, a field goal would be huge.
Well, they got to be able to drive down the field, and they've got to take some time off the clock, and they've got to get outside because they're not getting anything inside anymore. They're losing penetration. The defensive line is beating them across the ball, which is surprising because you would think they'd be tired by now.
Cleveland offense has come alive in the second half.
And Elko's defense hasn't.
High school football, it's a lot of fun. And at 26-20, El Camino by 6. 5:43 left.
They're going to try an onside kick here is my guess. Yep.
It's a short kick, near sideline, out of bounds. I don't know if I like that strategy. It gives ECR pretty good field position with the flag out. We'll move it up to the 40-yard line. I understand it. With this much time on the clock, that's when you might want to second guess. Doesn't matter if El Camino don't move the football, though.
That's it. And again, they've got to be able to reach down right now. And this is the test. This is a character judge right now. Can they do what they need to do with all the adversity facing them on the defense?
They did it last week in a similar situation at Narbonne.
Well, that was where Hall took off and ran and made the difference. But he's been stymied a little bit this game.
That's going to go. They want to accept the ball at the spot of where the ball went out of bounds.
We'll take it at the 35. Howard bouncing the misdirection, and it's well played. And right now, all the El Camino momentum's gone away. It's all with Cleveland.
Again, it's testing whether or not El Camino can make the play. They've got to be able to make the play.
They need one big play. They've had some moments tonight where they just sensed that Cleveland was going to take command of the game, and El Camino made a big play. They need to make one right here. As you see, we're going to go inside of 5 minutes, but the clock really isn't a factor.
No.
Cleveland's got all kinds of time. The question is, can Elko move the football and not allow Cleveland to get that offense back on the field? 2nd down and 8. Hall pressured again and takes off. He does a nice job. It'll bring up 3rd down, however, and a crucial 3rd and about 5.
He's just not able to get outside and make that big break. They're containing him pretty well.
This becomes the biggest play in the game. El Camino looking to sustain. Cleveland so desperately wanting the ball back.
They need to get the first down here.
Third and 5. Movement up front. This should be a penalty on El Camino. Necessary yardage is good for the first down. They were moving. Did they not call the penalty? They did not. The left side of the offense was moving. First down, ECR Ermita with a huge run, but I'm baffled again. You saw the movement, right?
Yeah. What do they call when they don't call it? And it's amazing to me that they missed that one.
It's a high school football game with high school players and high school officials. You got to take the good and the bad. Just play the game.
Armida was the factor on that. Again, he had the chance to break it and get enough yardage for the first down.
To the credit of ECR, they played to the whistle. Howard, near side. Devin Howard. Stepped out of bounds. Terrific run. El Camino trying to put this game away.
But you notice he finally cut outside. They stopped going inside because Cleveland was jamming the middle. So Howard was able to cut outside, and that just opened up everything for him.
You know, on the networks, they have huge budgets, and they have officials in the booth to explain calls. We need an official in the booth to explain a couple of the calls we've seen here tonight.
I think so, yeah.
I'm not sure officials in the booth could understand some of these calls or lack thereof. Give Devin Howard credit. That was a wonderful run.
Great run. They need to do it more. They need to get another one here and just take it in and score. That'll put the knife in them.
There's your pitch play.
Pitch power, touchdown.
Howard, there he goes. Reaching out. He's down on contact, but another terrific run by Devin Howard, who for a moment it looked like he was a little bit exhausted, but I think he is. He needs some help up. He nearly broke this for a score.
I'm surprised they haven't been running more of that all night. That's what Carson did against Cleveland last week.
Aguilar saved the touchdown.
They're going to do it again here, Randy.
Inside of 3 minutes to play, and they do with fouls. Where's he going? He's battling. Cleveland yelling for a timeout. Now keep in mind, a field goal here for El Camino is as good as a touchdown. There's 2 minutes and 42 seconds left, and they are in field goal range. So it's going to come down. I would think that El Camino tries to run the football. If they get a touchdown, that's great. This way you exhaust Cleveland's timeouts if they stop you, and then you bring your kicker on and try to put the game away.
Well, they run pitch power this next 2 plays, they'll get the 10 yards. I don't know why Fowles didn't just turn it up and run. That play is a Howard play or an Armida play. Armida did the same thing last year, if you remember. He was able to just make that pitch work so well.
Each side has 2 timeouts left. So Cleveland can stop it twice. El Camino on the doorstep of winning at Cleveland to start the West Valley League race, but they're not in yet. Second down and 8. Hall throwing it. He's got his man, Ermita. Touchdown, El Camino Real.
They ran the pitch power offensive line to one direction and came back around with the waggle with Hall this time.
A play out of the Cleveland book.
They're going for 2.
Well, they're up 32-20. And there's 2:35 left. So, yeah, on the card it says go for 2 to try to get it to 14. And I wonder what you want to see be called. I think.
You think the pitch power's coming?
I think that's probably what you would think. But they baffled him with that play fake and throw. And that is the pitch power. And fouls close to the goal line. What's the call? Not in. He didn't get there. They're saying he didn't get in. It's pretty close.
It's still 2-score game right now. Again, there's your waggle. Everybody's going to the right.
Cleveland was completely baffled. They did not see that coming. Well, again, Cleveland's got 2 timeouts left. 2:35 left, but like you said, it's a 2-score game. Now, if you're Asa Johnson, you want to kick it through the end zone.
That is the hope.
Interesting game.
If you're El Camino, you got to put it in the end zone right now.
Very entertaining and interesting game, and a wacky game at times.
Yep.
El Camino on the verge of getting to 3-3 overall and 1-0 in the West Valley, and a date at Chatsworth next Friday at 7 on LA36. Big strong leg of Asa Johnson, and he did not quite reach the goal line, so it's returnable. And if he busts through, there's running room. Flag is out. There's Donovan Powell again. He nearly broke it. There is that yellow flag down. (32-20). They'll sort this one out.
I'm not sure why he didn't kick it in the end zone.
I think he tried to, just didn't get it there.
Like conduct on the defense, number 41, we have unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 99, they will offset, but that's their first one on each line. So where's the ball at?
First down for Cleveland, offsetting fouls, but the return stands for Donovan Powell at the 36-yard line. 2:24 remains. Well, one would think Lopez has to throw now.
Yeah, that's what the prevailing wisdom would say, but knowing Peter Gunny, some trick plays coming.
He's got number 1 in that backfield. Is so dangerous. Donovan Powell.
Defense number 44, the 5 yards, replay, first down.
was 54, I think, wasn't it?
Cost them 5 either way. It was 54. Elias had a couple of those tonight. The reverse.
That's Peter Gunny. I thought something would come like that.
Aguilar did not get out of bounds. That keeps the clock going. Gunny's exhorting his team on to get into the huddle and get going. They're not, so he uses one of his timeouts.
But again, I thought that he'd pull out some trick play, and it was a reverse that he did. He'll do anything to get activity and get people involved.
But now he's got a little bit of a dilemma. He's down to one timeout. If you're El Camino, you just don't want to give away the big play. Got 2 minutes left. And Jason Zabalik's team, with some help from their offensive coordinator, Rick Hayashida,
the legendary,
on the verge.
The legendary Rick Hayashida.
He's been a lot of places. He won a city title at Chatsworth.
Yes, and El Camino.
That Chatsworth team was the one with Matt Castle. Right?
I believe it was.
Yeah. Former NFL quarterback. There's Peter Gunny. And I think he's done a nice job reacting to El Camino in the second half with the necessary adjustments. But El Camino has responded to those adjustments.
He's going to put it up here, is my guess.
Plenty of time. Should have been picked off, but it was coming with such velocity. That velocity was so strong, it really surprised Jacob Zane.
It was a pitcher's throw.
Yeah, I was right too, but it was coming so fast. Third down and 5. Now, if you're Cleveland, you got 2 downs. You got to pick up the first down. That's in play as well. As you can see, under 2 minutes to play, Cleveland in dire straits here. Lopez. That one's batted down. There's that man again, Caden McCoy. Nearly had another pick six.
Almost picked it.
Yeah, he had the pick six at Narbonne, and he was on the verge there. He was darting in front of the receiver and had a lot of green grass in front of him. And it's 4th down and the last chance for Cleveland. Do you run it with Donovan Powell? You got to get the first down if the game's over.
Well, Peter Gunny's modus is usually they just keep throwing it.
Well, they do need 5 yards, but again, Powell averages 9 a carry. So those are the options. Throw it or give it to Powell, obviously. 4th down. That one's caught short of the first down. Reeled in by Alatorre, but McCoy was waiting for him, and Caden finishes him off, and Elko has this one locked up. Minute 42 left. Alatorre had no chance there.
Nope, he was right. They were right on him, and as soon as he caught the ball, it was done.
Again, this Caden McCoy is rapidly maturing.
If I can't intercept it, I'll stop you from making any gain. They should run pitch power here and just run out the clock, get the first down, run it out.
You don't want my opinion. I think they should kneel down. I don't think you should jeopardize even the handoff. Cleveland's got 1 timeout left, but it doesn't matter. It's a 32-20 game, and they will hand it off. It's all about ball security at this stage. As long as you don't fumble, it's a good play for El Camino.
Yep.
2nd down. And so far, they have not utilized that timeout. Closing in on a minute to play in this game. Well, El Camino's about to win its third in a row. They go to 1-0 in West Valley League play. Devin Hall is maturing as a quarterback. He's got a bevy of running backs to work with. El Camino defense has some playmakers as well. It's a team that's growing up. Here's Ermita up the middle.
He's not giving up the ball.
No, he's sure-handed. Third down and a couple. 40 seconds to play. Peter Gunny not utilizing that final timeout. He knows it doesn't matter. El Camino congratulating one another in the huddle. It's a big win.
It is. I mean, again, surprising the difference in performance. I expected a much closer game. I think I said I expected a 3-point game.
Timeout taken by El Camino Real. They burned off all the clock that they could. They didn't want to take the penalty, then called a timeout. Doesn't really matter. Well, you go to 1-0 in the league. You, by most experts, were the underdog before the day started. Then when Corey Hall was suspended, then it was an even game.
Well, you see the difference that one player can make. I mean, they game planned for Corey Hall and had to adjust on game day.
And adjust they did.
But so did Cleveland. They had to adjust and tell Powell that he was going to be the main attraction for Cleveland today.
And they did some great things, Cleveland, in the second half, adjusting with the bootleg, the waggle, the rollout for their quarterback Lopez that made times a little more difficult for El Camino, but it didn't matter. In the end, this one is over. There's that kneel down that I was asking for. Final score's 32-20. El Camino won in Narbonne 32-22, so that number 32 has been pretty good for El Camino Real and the two buddies, Gunny in the red, Zabalik in the blue. There's the hug. Yeah, they just really like one another.
They do. They really do. It was a hard-fought game. They played well. Everybody should be proud of themselves, and they did the best they could with what they had. It was a great game.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys obviously know each other. They're in the same league, same neck of the woods. Reseda and Woodland Hills are not all that far apart. So for the second year in a row, Zabalik beats Gunny. Beat him last year 24-12 at home. And again, he beats him by 12. So the last 2 years, El Camino Real has won this game by 12 points.
And Peter Gunny won't forget that.
Well, next year, Peter Gunny will have to come to El Camino. Well, a celebratory mood for El Camino Real. We'll look back at the highlights before we leave. And just a good night, as it turned out, for El Camino, despite the Shackelford early touchdown for Cleveland.
I'm surprised they didn't go to him more often.
Devin Howard was great. 3 touchdowns in this game.
And just not to be denied. He just demonstrated some skill here tonight.
There's a pass to Jalen Sanders, who showed terrific effort.
Arm tackles won't bring him down.
And again, we want to thank all the people here in Cleveland for great hospitality and Reseda. Here's the big hookup to Shackelford, but it didn't lead to points.
Nope.
This did. This is the pass to Cerrito for the touchdown.
The waggle worked. I mean, again, he ran that about 4 times, and every time it was a completion.
But also every time El Camino Real had an answer offensively. That's a good grab again by that man, Devin Howard, who's been very much integrated into the offense. There's the screenplay, which worked for Guzman.
Yeah. That I thought they would throw more to Powell.
Howard again.
Notice how he shifted the ball to his outside arm as you're going down the sideline.
This is late in the game, and that one really put Cleveland away. And a win for the Royals. Paul Zabalik, it was a pleasure. I guess we'll see each other next Friday.
Well, it's always a pleasure working with you, Randy. And again, it's tough to keep up with you. You are the talent, I must admit.
You do a fine job, and we appreciate it. Congratulations to both clubs. Fine outing. There were some mistakes. I'm sure both coaches will have to clean those up. But in the end, it was ECR that had more firepower and wins 32-20. For Paul, I'm Randy, and our entire LA36 crew. Good night from Reseda, California, where the Royals win by a dozen on LA36. We'll see you next Friday at 7 o'clock from Chatsworth.